Brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
KUAM News COVID-19 Takeover on I-94 FM is presented locally by Ambrose Inc.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
Be healthy. Be informed with ITD.
Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671. Brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
KUAM News COVID-19 Takeover on I-94 FM is presented locally by Ambrose Inc.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
It's not always easy trying something new. Sometimes you have to help your loved ones along. Nana is so used to her weekly trips to the bank that going online can be a little scary for her. But her grandson knows that banking online is safer and easier, so he's teaching her how to get started using Bank of Guam's online banking videos. Teaching is one way to show our loved ones we care, keep your family safe at home, and show them how to bank online. Find easy-to-use online banking tutorials at bankofguam.com or on our Instagram and Facebook pages. Bank of Guam, member FDIC.
Be healthy. Be informed with ITD. Be healthy. Be informed with ITD.
Don't be afraid when your boyfriend goes away. He's not thinking about you anyway. No, maybe for the first couple of days, but after that, he'll be on his way. You know why? 'Cause boys come and go. Come and go. Boys come and go. Oh yeah. Girls come and go. Girls come and go. Girls come and go. Oh yeah. So forget the roses, chocolates, candies, and cards, 'cause he's not doing it to get close to your heart. No, all he wants is all he can. You'll get what I'm talking about when you understand that boys come and go. Come and go. Boys come and go. Oh yeah. Girls come and go. Girls come and go. Girls come and go. Oh yeah. Now if he says he loves you, girl, then let him wait for you. Call you every night and bring you flowers too. He'll be dedicated, might seem like a fairy tale. He's trying to get it with you, girl, most anywhere. Now he'll wanna hold your hand, to say that he'll be there. He'll look into your eyes and tell you that he cares. Might sing a lullaby, say girl you're beautiful, but don't fall into some lies, girl you're beautiful. 'Cause boys come and go. Come and go. Boys come and go. Oh yeah. Girls come and go. Girls come and go. Girls come and go. Oh yeah.
Panogita moru purita nonda kantai mantunat nyagi toru ilugar para honra para gloria Abibay islasen para i-honra, para i-gloria. Abibay islasen para Gitodu'y tempo'y paz para hita dan ginilangit na bendisyon. Contra'y peligro na fansafuham, Diyos protehis langwang. Contra'y peligro na fansafuham, Diyos protehis langwang.
It's always so much fun.
All right, it is. Hey, good morning. Good morning, Guam. Hey, it's 6:25. The KUM News Takeover, Guam's favorite. It's containing COVID. My name is Chris. Good morning, Sabrina.
Good morning.
How was your night last night?
It was great. You know, my son, my mom sent a tablet to him.
Wow.
And so he was playing with the tablet, watching YouTube, and playing with his iPad, playing Fortnite. And I could not sleep because it was so much noise.
Wow, but did you commend him on his multitasking?
No, because I was trying to sleep.
Yeah, like one eye on YouTube, one eye on Fortnite.
I was like, turn it off. I'm watching.
Right. I mean, I'll tell you, you know what's getting a lot of mileage during this COVID is the tabs.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
What do you mean?
I mean, you know, the tablets.
Oh,
yes. Yeah. 6:27, it's containing COVID. My night, pretty chill. I've had I'm not eating rice, but somehow I keep ending up eating things that require rice. Like yesterday, we had poke fry for lunch. Mm-hmm. And I had poke with no rice.
As did I.
Yeah. So there's a few of us here who aren't eating rice for whatever reason. Well, the reason being that...
because you're not eating.
Well, yeah, and also the COVID is... You know, it's made some things bigger. Mm-hmm. So last night I made me just one of my grandpa's... It's a comfort dish for me. It's when you take the salmon in the can, and then you like lemon finadeni it and donny and smash it all up. And
do you put onions?
I put onions, of course. Let the onions get all lemony and salty and soaky. Mm-hmm. And then I scooped it up with some sky flakes and the little seaweed.
Sounds good.
It was pretty good. 6:28. Hey, it's containing COVID. Sabrina Salas Mantanani, also our digital stream team behind the scenes. We got Jacob Sablana and Ken Sanity. And it's all proudly brought to you by IT&E, Ambrose Inc., Cabo Enterprises, Coast 360, and the Bank of Guam, where we're going to jam as much real information in real time as we can in the next 3 hours and 33 minutes of multimedia broadcast extravaganza. Some of the guests that we'll have on the show for you guys this morning. Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio with his Tuesday check-in. Also, we'll go to the halls of the Guam legislature and talk with the Vice Speaker, Talina Nelson, also scheduled for this morning. Speaker Tina Muniya Barnes. We'll catch up with Police Sergeant Paul Tapao of the Guam Police Department. And Tess Archangel is going to give us a little update on public assistance with the Department of Public Health. As it's been, I tried to get the lead contact trace investigator, Annette Uggan. However, she's they're obviously very busy this morning. And also Dr. Jana Maglotnia from Public Health, the medical director. Remember, every single positive case we get on this island, the contact tracers from Public Health have to go and interview that person, find out everyone they were in contact with, and then go interview them and find out, you know what I mean? So.
And also, what's scary about this whole situation is the fact that a lot of the new cases are not connected or linked to confirmed cases, so they're new cases.
Right. These people haven't come into contact with anyone that they know was COVID positive. So it's kind of scary. And that's what, everyone from Dr. Felix Cabrera to the governor has said that it's a cause for alarm, and that's part of why they delayed the reopening of tourism, was that they want to get a handle on all of these new positives, and the cases are coming in, Part of me was thinking as I laid down, did we jinx this? I don't know if you're a believer in jinxing, but it's like, we got the governor and the administration, they've just been on this, we're going to reopen, no matter what. We're not going to delay. Remember just last week, they're like, no, we're not going to delay tourism. We're barreling full steam ahead on the reopening.
But also during the press conference on Saturday, the governor and public health said this was something that they had anticipated because, they cast a wider net. They expanded community testing. And as you see every day on the Joint Information Center, hundreds of people are being tested, including in Jotnya. There were over 500 people that came out, and they had to, stop it and turn people away because there was just so many. And now, because of the increase in cases, positive cases in northern Guam, they're going to do more expanded testing in that area.
Right. And so we'll see what the results are. But remember, they had said with the reopenings, a mass testing component would be executed to kind of see where we're at. And that's what we're seeing now. I mean, I don't want to say they told us so, but they did anticipate some kind of increase with these reopenings. And it's not just the reopenings. We've had, some very significant gatherings. That's why I'm really curious to find out about the contact tracing. So were any of these positives linked to Father's Day, any protests, any, going out and around any of these, business establishments that have been open? And if it takes another day for public health to kind of get their finger on this, then we'll give them that day and we'll try and get it. Because, if we get them on today and it's like, hey, what do you know? And they're like, I don't know, we're still investigating it. I mean, that's just frustrating for everyone. But we'll try and reach out to them tomorrow to try and get more information because with these positives, people are wondering. There's a lot of anxiety out there.
And in these positives, it also sheds light on the fact that, and raises questions as to whether did we let down our guard? Are people still following social distancing guidelines? Are people wearing their masks as they should and as recommended? Right.
And this is, with the masks thing, it's not a political issue. Really, I don't know how it became one. And I'm just so ashamed of my media colleagues. The way I look at this, Bree, is, when you have a platform in the media, fine. But, with us, we got this platform. We go on the radio and all these different formats every single morning. I think there's a certain amount of responsibility that comes with that. With being in this slot, and that responsibility is that if the public health professionals on this island and around the world tell us that we need to wear a mask, not just to keep ourselves safe, but to keep those around us safe, then I'm not going to argue with that, because it's just such a tiny thing to do. It's so easy to put this thing on. I can't think of really anything easier than wearing this mask when you go out in public. And I just really, there's just a few of my colleagues in media. I mean, you're going to demonize this mask because, the governor's in the wrong political party to you? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I just don't see the politics behind protecting yourself, protecting your family, and protecting your friends, and how a mask is suddenly a part of being political.
I mean, it really is.
It's
ridiculous.
just about doing the right thing.
It is. And, public health has reached out to us, and they want to get the word out about wearing the mask. And they believe that part of why we haven't seen those crazy numbers is because we've really been good at doing our part and wearing the mask. And that's one of the main ways to stop the spread of COVID. So, I got to call out my media colleagues. I think that we need to really set the example, and going out there and blabbing about how, because the governor's a Democrat, I shouldn't have to wear a mask. It's disrespectful. It's also dangerous. And I expect more from my media colleagues. I really do, because this really is about keeping our island community safe. And really think about it, it's just part of an FM outlook. I mean, we are all intertwined in this island, and we all need to do our part to kill this COVID curve. And I don't think, running around talking about how your constitutional rights are being trampled on because you got to wear a mask to keep everyone safe. It's just nonsense.
And I got to say, though, I have seen some of the coolest and cutest masks. People really have been creative.
Right.
I know, what's her name? Kai.
Right.
She makes masks,
right.
And she had one. I saw it. It was I think a baby Yoda.
Right. Yeah.
And I was so close. Maybe I should DM her and order one, because I'm a Star Wars freak.
I know.
So I don't know. I might be putting in that order.
Yeah, I think it's cool. We've seen just so many different people making the masks homemade. And people are using, this has supplemented some people's income.
Yeah.
Some people, small businesses, mom and pop stores, they're
I've seen
designing masks with the Guam seal, with island centric.
The Guam Artist Network, the gang group.
Right.
Oh gosh, they have some really cool ones too. So.
And I got to give props to those people, because I think that we can't let our guard down. And even if we're wearing our masks and you guys are wearing your masks, we got to set this as it's the new normal, okay? And it's just something. It's just so easy to do, you know what I mean? And it's a small thing that we can all do for each other. 6:36. On that note, let's start the show, shall we? With a day's dive into the COVID-19 headlines from the KUAM news team with the very latest. Good morning, Sabrina Salas-Mantanani.
Afade, good morning, everyone. We begin with the latest count of confirmed COVID cases on Guam, and the number has gone up. According to the Joint Information Center, on Monday, Public Health's lab ran 65 tests and 2 popped positive for the coronavirus. As reported, 5 new cases were reported Monday afternoon, 4 from the lab at DLS and 1 from U.S. Naval Hospital. The total number of confirmed cases is now 255, with 5 deaths, 179 recoveries, and 71 active cases. The governor, meanwhile, making it official, signing another executive order to extend her declaration of a public health emergency for Guam. It was originally set to expire on Monday, but it has now been extended to July 30th. The island also remains in PCOR 2. All current restrictions remain in place. Effective July 1st after midnight, the latest iteration of public health quarantine protocols will go into effect. The latest version is that if you are arriving from an area designated as high risk and you have a 72-hour pre-arrival negative COVID test, you can home quarantine. If not, you go to a government quarantine facility. And if you are on home quarantine, you can test out after 7 days. What hasn't changed is the fact that all arriving passengers are subject to a 14-day quarantine. Here on Containing COVID yesterday, we brought up a concern from one of our viewers about one of the guidelines in the current quarantine protocols that allows people to leave their homes for takeout and shop for groceries. Dr. Felix Cabrera of the Governor's Physicians Advisory Group was surprised that was included in public health's quarantine protocols. After his interview on our show, Dr. Cabrera says the issue was addressed during their daily briefing with the governor and lieutenant governor. He says this guideline will be changed and will also go into effect on July 1st. District Court of Guam Chief Judge Francis Tidenko Gatewood has ruled in favor of the Archbishop of Agano, or the Archdiocese, in a case against the U.S. Small Business Administration. The Archdiocese filed suit after it was denied a PPP loan because it is in bankruptcy. According to the Chief Judge's opinion, it states that we are at an unprecedented time. The COVID-19 pandemic has caused our nation and our economy to come to a screeching halt. It required unprecedented congressional action. Through the passage of the CARES Act, over $600 billion was allocated for the Paycheck Protection Program, meant to sustain thousands of small businesses struggling to survive. Unfortunately, acting outside its statutory authority, the USSBA excluded those who are in need the most, Chapter 11 debtors. The preliminary injunction the judge granted cures the unauthorized exclusion of the Archbishop of Agano from the PPP. Without a doubt, the PPP would provide a lifeline to the financially distressed Archbishop of Agano. Quote, while it will not resolve financial troubles, the PPP funds will likely help facilitate a path toward a successful reorganization. Today is the official deadline to file for candidacy for the August primary election, and former five-term Guam congressional delegate Dr. Robert Underwood announces that he will be filing his candidacy today to regain the seat. Underwood retired recently as president of the University of Guam. He will run against fellow Democrat Michael San Nicolas, who is completing his first term. Senator Will Castro has announced his plan to run for delegate on the Republican side. Meanwhile, Veterans Affairs Director Fred Berdallo has resigned to run for senator. Berdallo confirms with KUAM he is seeking a seat in the 36th Guam legislature as a Democrat candidate. Homeland Security Advisor Tim Uggan has been detailed to Veterans Affairs to replace Berdallo, but he said he will still retain his role of Homeland Security Advisor as well. Uggan is not the only cabinet member pulling double duty in light of the recent rash of resignations and transfers. Meanwhile, as of Monday, a total of 28 individuals have filed seeking a seat in the 36th Guam legislature. The latest ones to file include former Senators Frank Bloss Jr. and Joanne Brown, Michelle Armenta, incumbent Talina Nelson, and documents were also filed by the committee to draft former Senator Dennis Rodriguez Jr. Again, the deadline to file is today, 5 p.m. at the Guam Election Commission in Agano. After serving 30 years in the U.S. Navy, U.S. Naval Hospital Guam commanding officer Captain Maria Young has retired. She served as a staff nurse on a surgical ward and multi-service unit and moved on to serve in multiple leadership roles. Young led as a division officer, department head, risk manager, director, executive officer, and finally as commanding officer. Captain Young expressed that although she was a leader, she enjoyed working as a team and watching others lead. At U.S. Naval Hospital Guam, her team consisted of almost 600 active duty service members and almost 200 civilian and contract employees. In regional news, we bring in our Tomas Manglotnia now, who is live from Saipan. Good morning, Tomas.
Good morning, Bray and Chris. Here's the latest making news in the Sinamay. The Sinamay legislature met with some members of the governor's COVID-19 task force early yesterday morning for a briefing on the state of the island's public health response. Here's Chair Warren Villagomez. Take a listen.
Chairman JP, yes, it's still going on, and it's we want to actually. I'm very excited to be in this body. Because the plan to the next forward movement of community testing is precinct testing, and I want to bring it to this body that we need assistance on the precinct level to coordinate precinct level testings, to embrace and engage with our community to promote testing within the precincts, and I want to see and maybe through the task force member, Chairman Utibus, if he can guide the COVID task force on a point of contact here at the legislature to initiate the precinct testing. The place that's recommended, recommendations best to identify the vulnerable population within the precincts, and at what level of efforts do we need to engage in our community that are challenged with transportation, language barrier issues, at what level of, coordination that we need to bring our community that hasn't been tested to be tested. So yes, that is still ongoing, Chairman JP, and we want to encourage. We still we haven't shut down testing. Just yesterday, we're doing community-based testing at Kanoa with coordinated efforts with the business community. So it's still a moving efforts on. Thank you.
Chair Warren Villagomez of the Governor's COVID-19 Task Force explained the remaining needs to ensure village-based testing can be implemented soon. Representatives also expressed concern at the legislature for the capacity to monitor incoming passengers in self-quarantine. They also discussed potential plans for schools to reopen in the fall and the status of the alternate care site at Kanoa Resort. To date, the CNMI has tested over 8,000 of its residents, remaining at 30 confirmed positive cases with 2 deaths. Since about the last 18 days, there hasn't been a new case here in the CNMI. And as of yesterday, CEO of the Commonwealth Healthcare Corporation, Esther Muniya, tells KUAM that there remains only 1 active case at the Kanoa Resort facility. Bring Chris, that's the latest making news here in the CNMI.
Thanks, Tomas. Back on Guam today, more tax relief for small businesses and a choice in health insurance providers. Those were among the 6 bills signed into law by the governor. Here's Nestor Lacanto with a summary.
A bill by Senator Joe San Agustin, now Public Law 3590, waives the business privilege tax for certain small businesses that make more than $50,000 but less than $250,000. Businesses that make more than $250,000 but less than $500,000 will pay 3% BPT rather than the full 5%. The provision expires in June 2022. Another key new law was authored by Senator Jose Pito Turlahi to provide a choice in health insurance providers beginning with the fiscal year 2022 contract. The GovGuam negotiating team will submit the top 3 most economical and beneficial carriers to the governor for approval. Employees may choose from among those plans, but any difference in premiums shall be paid by employees at their own cost. The 4 other measures signed include a bill by Senator Kelly Marsh Titano that directs Parks and Recreation to develop a rip current and hiking safety awareness program and outreach plan. A bill by Senator Mary Torres to terminate the parental rights of rapists who father a child. 2 bills by Senator Amanda Shelton to appropriate monies to UOG and GCC for institutional improvements from their respective endowment funds. 1 other measure by Shelton was allowed to lapse into law without the governor's signature. The governor said a bill to provide up to $2,000 in pandemic assistance from the CARES Act to families with qualified dependents. The administration said it was concerned about unfairness in compensation to an unwed single parent. It was also concerned that it is unlawful for the legislature to appropriate federal funds. For Guam's News Network, I'm Nestor to appropriate federal funds. For Guam's News Network, I'm Nestor Lacanto.
From District Court for a second time, William Tapasne Mantanotnia's sentencing has been pushed back a month. Mantanotnia pled guilty to obstruction of justice charges for conspiring with his brother, former GPD officer John Boom Mantanotnia, and former juror Greg Tekenko to influence the jury to vote not guilty in the Raymond and Juanita Martinez drug trial case. Mantanotnia was originally set to be sentenced back in May. However, due to the pandemic, his hearing was rescheduled to yesterday morning. Defense counsel William Gavris filed a stipulated motion to continue sentencing because of his client's health concerns. And further, Attorney Gavris is waiting for a debriefing from an important witness he plans to bring forward. Court documents state that Mantanotnia plans to call at least 3 witnesses to testify during his sentencing. Ultimately, the court vacated the hearing. It's been moved to July 27th. According to the plea agreement, Mantanotnia faces up to 5 years in prison and a $250,000 fine. Evan Montville Cohen admitted to violating his pretrial release conditions. Montville Cohen faces aggravated identity theft and wire fraud charges for allegedly using one of his employees' personal information to rent an apartment in Tamuning last year. Due to health concerns, the court granted his release from custody to a third-party custodian, and as stated in court, these medical issues resulted in him violating his conditions. He addressed the court explaining how he has been in and out of the hospital throughout the month of May and did not effectively communicate this to his third-party custodian. It was also stated in court by probation that since this violation, there has not been any further issues. Magistrate Judge Michael Berdalio ordered him to continue to report to probation as directed. His pretrial conference has been set for July 24th. In national news, more than 30 states are reporting an increase in coronavirus cases, and at least 13 states have halted their plans to reopen, including in Texas and California. Chris Martinez reports from Los Angeles.
In Austin, Texas, people waited on long lines to get tested for the coronavirus.
The labs are just overwhelmed.
Texas reported nearly 6,000 new cases in one day. To slow the surge, restaurants cannot exceed 50% capacity, and bars have been closed since Friday.
COVID-19 has taken a very swift and very dangerous turn in Texas over just the past few weeks.
Cases in Florida are also surging so much that some beaches are closing over the 4th of July weekend.
It's really as if we had never bothered to do the quarantine.
In California, bars in 7 counties, including here in Los Angeles, have been ordered closed. In 8 other counties, it's still only a recommendation, not a requirement.
I think if you're going to shut the bars down, it should be at 10 o'clock.
Tommy Macias died from COVID after attending a backyard barbecue in Southern California 2 weeks ago, where he later learned someone had the virus.
I hate to think that he left worrying about all of us left behind.
Secretary of Health and Human Services Alex Azar tells CBS News traditional tools such as contact tracing are not enough to control the spread.
We've got to use tools we use in other types of public health challenges. Actually get engaged in the community, find those cases, but then test everybody in the community, find the cases, isolate those individuals.
He urges Americans to wear masks when they can't socially distance. Chris Martinez, CBS News, Los Angeles.
The U.S. now has more than 2.5 million confirmed cases of the virus, about a quarter of the 10 million cases worldwide. In your Banking 671 report, several local businesses and government agencies have joined forces to launch Going Online Together, a collaboration aimed at transforming consumer behavior by promoting the use of online and digital solutions during this pandemic. Now more than ever, online banking and payment platforms have become instrumental in continuing services during this time and are being highlighted in business and government plans to protect our communities and working on the front line. Going Online Together brings together several familiar brands into one voice, promoting alternative solutions to the traditional in-branch, in-store transactions. This initiative extends far beyond convenience, but focuses on the health, well-being, and safety of our Manumco, our sick, our families, and each other. That is your Banking 671 report, brought to you by the Bank of Guam and Coast 360.
All right, thank you, Serena Salas-Matanani. 6:51. It's containing COVID, the KUAM news takeover. A lot of guests this morning, so let's get right to it. Want to bring our friend Glenn on, who is going to be representing the Sisters of the Moonlight. As it is Pride Month, and they've got a cool little Pride motorcade that we want to tell you guys about. Good morning, Glenn.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Sabrina. Hello, hello.
Hey, happy belated birthday.
Pardon me?
Happy belated birthday.
Actually, my real birthday is actually on this coming Thursday, but we had an early celebration with my family. Yes.
So happy birthday.
Right on.
Thank you.
That's how I like my birthday celebrations, early and often. Glenn, let's talk about Pride Month, man, because I feel like this one was kind of stolen from you guys.
Yeah, well, so I'm representing the Sisters of the Moonlight, and also, our other friends, the House of Diosa. Mm-hmm. So basically, because of what happened with COVID, and it's kind of put a damper on our Pride Month activities. So we thought, this is kind of a last minute gathering, to do it in a safer way, because normally we would do, a wave or something, or have like some kind of event or a picnic, but because of all this going on, we decided to do it. So Our group is basically the Sisters of the Moonlight is a grassroots LGBTQ group. They go way back. They have a lot of long-lasting friendships, and we kind of, we know our House of Diosa sisters because they were they're like the younger generation. We're the older generation kind of thing. Yeah, so we like to thank the Guam Coalition Against Sexual Assault and Family Violence, as we're working in collaboration together and also with the coalition. And, we're looking at, this is kind of like our first endeavor in our project, and we're looking to start up some other events and promoting awareness and also, education and support to our community and our LGBTQ community. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
So when is when is it? And where?
Okay, so our motorcade is today, so we would like to invite everybody, our friends and family who know us. We're going to gather at 5 o'clock up there at the Santa Barbara Circle in Tenorio, and then we're going to do just a short briefing on road safety, of course, and we will be wearing our mask and social distancing because, we'll be in our cars. And then we're going to proceed there from Santa Barbara Circle and just motorcade on down to Marine Drive and through Marine Drive, and then we're going to end in Adelup Circle.
Wow.
Okay. Why Adelup Circle? Why Adelup Circle?
Well, because we're there and we just want to make our presence known and show who we are, and just celebrate.
Get used to it.
Lieutenant Governor said
right.
Adelup.
I think the rainbow flags are still up at Adelup. I drove by the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes.
So Glenn, tell us how we're because there was a pride wave and a protest, I think, that was done in solidarity with Black Lives Matter, but other individuals, organizations, groups in the LGBTQ community, are they also trying to find ways to kind of salvage Pride Month, or is the thinking that we'll just do it later on when the COVID's not as big as it is now?
Well, I'm not so sure about the groups and things like that, but this is just one of the things that we, as the Sisters of the Moonlight and House of Diosa, we've always gotten together in social gatherings and settings, and we've always wanted to talk about combining our two houses together and doing something to promote and spread awareness about our LGBTQ community. And yeah, I know it is kind of challenging that we had this COVID. So yeah, it's been we're just trying. This is something new. We're just trying it out for the first time, and we'll see how it goes.
Try it out on me.
Can you tell me a little bit about the history of the Sisters of the Moonlight? Because I know I've seen you posted, but I never really knew the background.
This is a group of I was actually introduced to these guys. Again, there are many different members who identify as LGBTQ and are straight or are allies, and they've known, these group of people have known each other since their time when they were growing up, and I love hearing their stories about how they had to endure coming out and living an everyday life of tolerance and acceptance in their time. And so much has changed between now and then, as our LGBTQ is so accepted now, and like with a lot of TV shows. If you're familiar with that movie Pose or the series Pose on FX, if you kind of sit and listen to the Sisters of the Moonlight, that's just like us.
Yeah. And we're talking like old school stories like The White Swallow and Incognito and
yes,
right.
They share a lot of stories about those clubs and activities, but we're more than that. We're just everyday people, living in the community, and it's just what I admire about the Sisters of the Moonlight is their bond of friendship and family, and how they've supported each other throughout the years. Sadly, we've lost some friends, from health complications and other, but there's a lot out there that in the community that this younger generation, has not, seen or heard of.
Mm-hmm. Glenn,
a lot of legendary children.
Right.
I would say.
You were talking about how you guys sit around and you share your stories and some of the struggles that you and your friends have had to overcome. Well, can you share your story? with us?
Well, mine is not so different from others. It's just I was bullied a lot in high school, and in middle school. So, a lot has changed. And, I guess in my time, I guess in the 90s, if you were to come out and, say you're LGBTQ, you're going to, as the term, you're going to get boxed or you're going to get bullied. But, it wasn't until later on, maybe in my college years, that I started meeting new, friends and, sharing their experiences. And then when I came out, I was accepted, and I think that my family was there to support me. My mom just thought I was just partying too hard. And she's like, boy, if that's what God made you to be, then I accept you for who you are. So that was the topper of the cake for me.
Yeah, Glenn, when you talk about old school stories, there's one that I've heard many times in the South, and no names, but there was a guy who I guess would transgender back then, who dressed like a woman and got bullied and stuff, but this was a big guy, and it got so bad one day with this one bully in the South that finally the the guy ended up whooping the dude's ass, and it was just so funny. Yeah.
So we've gone through so much, but like I said, it's Pride Month. This is something so last minute that our group got together and said, hey, let's go do this. So we're like, okay. And, once again, we'd like to also thank the Guam Coalition for helping us organize this, at a last minute's notice. So we're very appreciative. And, hopefully, it's a start of our two houses working together. So we'll see how it goes.
All right.
Right on. And you guys got, I know you're telling us that you got GPD clearance and all that for the...
Yes, we got GPD clearances. So, because we're going to be passing the major precincts along the way. So they'll be watching out for us. And of course, we're going to be briefing all our motorists first on motorcade safety and everything, following and adhering to the traffic signs. Don't run the yellow light. Everybody just, stay together.
No gunning it.
Yeah, no gunning it. Yeah, and and again, everybody will be wearing their mask and practicing, safety measures.
Well, Glenn, when you get to the motorcade, send us a bunch of pics and video, and we'll get them on the show and maybe unpack the turnout.
Yes. Thank you so much, Chris and Sabrina.
All right. Thanks, Glenn.
All right, Glenn.
Okay.
Any final message?
Any final message to give us to Nancy or corn soup or anything?
Man, we're working on that. Like I said, right now I'm babysitting my 1-year-old nephew, so it's kind of hard. That's why I'm up early this morning. I always watch the show, so we'll try and get that.
Yeah, hey, no rush. But if you motorcade on past here with anything good. We just want to be a stop on the motorcade.
I know, but thank you so much, Chris and Sabrina, Jason, KUAM, and again, we will gather at the Santa Barbara Circle in Dededo, and then we will proceed on down to Marine Drive and end at Adelup Circle.
All right,
5 p.m. 5 o'clock. Okay, got it.
Yeah, all right. Happy Pride.
Hey, you
Happy
too.
Pride.
Thanks, Glenn.
Thank you, too.
Wash your hands.
Okay.
Okay,
bye-bye.
It's 7:01. We'll take a short break and come right back with the Labor Director, Dave De La Sola, who's got an update on pandemic unemployment assistance right here on Containing COVID. Good morning.
Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
KUAM News COVID-19 Takeover on I-94 FM is presented locally by Ambrose Inc.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
Be healthy. Be informed with ITD.
Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
KUAM News COVID-19 Takeover on I-94 FM is presented locally by Ambrose Inc.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
Be healthy. Be informed with ITD. Be healthy. Be informed with ITD.
Hey, good morning, 704. It's containing COVID. There's so many ways to catch the show. Just trying to bring it to you guys on all platforms. Right here on the radio, KUAM FM, Hagatnia, Guam. It's I-94, 93.9 FM out here. FM dial, even though nobody really has a dial anymore. I just showed my radio age there. Also, there's an audio stream, Docomo Channel 10, KUAM.com, the KUAM News app. And, of course, last but not least, on the Edward R. Murrow award-winning social media networks of KUAM. Good morning to our KUAM News Facebook Live audience. All right, let's get Dave Delasola, Labor Director, on to kind of give us an update on the status of the PUA and the FPUC. Good morning, Dave.
Good morning, Chris. Good morning, Sabrina. How are you guys doing today?
We're okay.
Doing pretty good. Happy that we're getting that unemployment out there. So we'll just give you the floor. What's the latest update on the payouts and processing of pandemic unemployment assistance?
Sure, thanks. The second batch, which is the $36.4 million that was processed, should be reaching the banks today. So you should be hearing about people getting their monies today and tomorrow, depending on the banks and how long it takes. But everything seemed to have processed well and is on track. So we should see that. So that's good news. Today we have a total of 32,732 employee separations from 1,837 employers on the employer module. And we have 28,725 initiated claims that have been put into the system. So things are running well, so to speak. And just to kind of give you a little idea on the work that we're doing is from the first batch that we paid out of $34.5 million or so. 160 came back returned from EFTs because the claimants put in the wrong account numbers or routing numbers. So we have a whole new batch of people trying to clear those up and trying to fix those. And for those that we can't get a hold of or fix, they will automatically be turned into checks and will be processed and mailed out. So that's another small team of people that are trying to clean that up. We continue to get fraud claims that we are finding and are addressing. The PUA email is also finding fraud claims that are being reported. And as we check people's claims and calling them up, they're also reporting internal fraud claims. So we are doing a pretty good job at catching these fraud and abuses, and we continue to focus on trying to get claims in and try to deal with the problem claims. I do want to tell to the listening public that I do hear the complaints about the 311 and how tough it is to call in. Our staff is just so inundated because, as soon as this money went out, all of a sudden we had another tidal wave of call-in, and people, of course, knowing that it's real and the money's going out, that they're just want to get a lot of impatient people that made mistakes on their claims, and they're trying to get it fixed. And we're doing the best that we can. Just to kind of give you an idea, as we move farther along, my teams are getting smaller because we're putting out more fires. I got, of course, a team on 311. I got a team that are taking call-in apps. I got a team that's cleaning claims for upcoming payments. Like every time we batch, we want to go through each day and try to do a quick cursory review and clean out those claims so that we can process the next batch. I got a team going back and cleaning those claims that we put on hold from the previous batches. I have a team that are taking care of problem claims. I got a team that are taking appointments of in-person at GCC for apps and at the libraries. I got a team working on wrong EFTs, and then I got a team working on fraudulent claims. So all these teams, when we first started, it was just a team of people taking in claims and answering the phones. So you had like 2 teams, and now they're broken up into a dozen teams, and they continue to deal with the claimants that have made user errors, that put in wrong banking information, that are calling in and say, oh, I forgot to put this income in, or I forgot to do this, oh, I put in the wrong date, I put in this, I forgot my username. I know that the problems just keep piling up, and even though we're having thousands of good claims, we're paying out, tens of thousands of dollars. It's going out. I do want to say we recently have started to put in these fraud measures options into the system, and they're, of course, catching more fraudulent claims, and they're also, as with anything that you put in a bunch of different measures, they're catching a few things that shouldn't be caught. It's typical of any computer program.
Dave, I'm sorry to interrupt. While we're on the subject of the fraud, I saw there was a article about Senator Luis Muniya, and if you could give us any and all information that you have on this. So what we're able to gather is Senator Muniya applied for unemployment.
I don't speak. Chris, I hope you can appreciate I don't talk about any particular person's claim or anything to the privacy. Just like if you were to apply, I would never say anything.
Let me keep it general then. So if I was, to apply, and I've got a full-time job, but I lost other income, do I have to declare my full-time job?
Of course, and that was, I think we pressed that out, and that seems to be a common misunderstanding with a lot of people that are out there, that they focused on, I lost my second job, so therefore I'm qualified. If you have 2 part-time jobs and you lost one, then yes, you would qualify, and then you would just report your total income.
Right.
So you always have to report the total income. Even your PPP, people say, I'm so confused, do I report it or not? it's income. It doesn't matter where the source is. And if you have a full-time job and a part-time job, and you lost your part-time job, then you are not qualified because you are still under full employment.
Correct.
And that's where I get a lot of calls of people, even at the grocery stores. I have a regular job, but I lost my cashier, or I lost my bagging. Do I still qualify, or I'm applying? And they still, I have to say, if you still have your full-time job, then you don't lose it. And that's why we've been pressing out those common mistakes that people are misunderstand.
Right. But Dave, where does it go from a common mistake to fraud? So just generally speaking, if I have a full-time job and I go apply for unemployment assistance, but I don't declare my full-time job salary and I submit that application to you, does it matter if I'm a senator or a janitor? Is that, because the intent to get the benefit is there. So we're talking so much about fraud. So generally speaking, if I was to apply for unemployment assistance while I still had a full-time job, I didn't declare my full-time job, submitted my application, then later I come back and say, I want to withdraw my application.
A lot of
Go ahead.
people that have that are similar what you're speaking of generally, and we get phone calls, we get letters, we get everything. They're saying, I made a mistake, I'd like to have it removed, or I need to change I need to add this income. That is another one of those many calls that we're trying to deal with, is people that are realizing that they forgot to claim, or they didn't understand the program and they need to change this, or they need to change that in the claim. That is, like I say, a very common misunderstanding as they start to become more educated with all the pressers that I'm putting out,
right,
and the information that people are starting to, especially with the PPP also.
Right.
They're becoming more educated. We're pressing out common mistakes. They are realizing their mistakes, and when people realize their mistakes and they call in and they want to make changes, then the intent is not there. And that's what we are forwarding to all the public, and I know that they're trying to get the information out to call in, and they're having difficulties. So the ones that we're looking at with the main frauds are the ones that have stolen people's data and put in claims, those from the states or from foreign countries,
Dave,
that are trying to put in claims.
Generally speaking, is Senator Muniya on your mailing list for all the releases that you guys send out for Department of Labor, how to apply for pandemic unemployment assistance?
I don't speak.
It kind of just seems like an airhead move to me. I'm just going to say it. It's an airhead move. It's an airhead move.
On any claims, and I hope you can appreciate.
I totally appreciate it.
All right.
That's why I'm keeping it general. Because Dave, I have a similar situation.
Yeah.
I host social gatherings all the time. I lost a lot of income during COVID-19. I didn't apply for unemployment assistance, though, because I'm fortunate to have this job. And, I can't. So I'm just curious. I just want to make sure, Dave, and I'm sure you can appreciate that I'm just trying to make sure that if a janitor or a bus driver or somebody out there who lost their job or whatever does the same thing that a sitting senator does, that they're not held to any higher standard than Senator Luis Muniya is.
Everybody's treated fairly, and that's why I keep telling you that we don't talk about individual claims. I will talk about circumstances. We are doing I think, an excellent job, way above average, looking out for fraudulent claims, and we're catching a lot of problems. The fraud emails seem to be working very well as we speak to employees, and we're finding out that they're not qualified. They're very easily volunteering their workers who are fraudulently putting in claims. So, I just want to tell everybody out there that, this is federal funds, and, intent is everything. And if you intend to fraud and steal from the government, then the feds will come after you. If you make mistakes and you misunderstand, then that's where we're going to come in and we'll fix things and we'll correct it.
So-
And we're looking at trying to get everybody assisted.
So when the Department
and
of
that's what I'm focused on.
So when the Department of Labor finds that there is intent to fraud the PUA program, what do you do then? Do you file something? Are there any penalties involved?
Yes, there is a procedure for us to follow to file or move any fraudulent claims up to the feds.
Have you guys done that?
Disposition. No, not yet. We're gathering them all up. Like I said, I have like a dozen teams, and all these claims that are there are held, and they're marked accordingly. Right now, we're just trying to move so aggressive to get money out.
Okay.
Because that's my priority. We will put things on hold. We suspect fraud. There is a process, adjudication process that needs to be put in place, and that is in place, that we move when we suspect fraud, that it has to be, you just can't just say fraud, boom, and send it out.
Right.
Everybody has a due process. And right now, that process is putting it on hold, putting it aside, and keep moving forward and getting payments out. And I hope that these new fraud measures that are starting to be put into the system now will start to free up those other teams of people, of those, and we can shift them over towards the 311 and shift them into the call-in and take care of problem claims and start fixing those people. Because I know the anxiousness and the feelings that the people are getting angry because they're trying to get through.
Right.
And, I only have a half a dozen people trying to man 311 because I've had to pull people to the other groups and teams. So what started out as 2 groups and now turned into 12 groups.
Right. David, we had a couple of questions in the comments here. One was on the census workers. So we had heard that census workers were, in effect, furloughed for a chunk of the pandemic, and one of them is saying he's trying to apply, but they're being told they're ineligible. Do you have any specific update on census workers? Or?
What I've learned through doing enforcements and stuff like that, everybody's individual problem is different, and you never, it's never as easy as, do all census workers are automatically. There are some that are on an on-call basis. There are some that are full-time. There are some that are in various levels of employment. So it varies from person to person. So I on a particular case, if anybody was employed and they were not employed anymore because of COVID, and they lost their income, then generally they are qualified.
What about student grant money, or do people have to report that?
Student grant, no. Offhand, I will say no.
Okay.
Like I said, there's too many different types of grants and how it is. But typically, you claim your taxable income that you make.
Also, there was one here. Sorry, Bree. I wanted to inquire if you've heard about a glitch with the Higher Guam system regarding the unemployment benefits, where it's not allowing some people to do their weekly certifications for all the weeks they've been out of work. It will only allow them to do March, and then skips April and May and continues to June. I've tried to call several times and sent an email, but have not received a response. This is concerning, obviously, you know why, because some people will not be able to get their full amount of unemployment. Is there a glitch with her?
There was, and it was corrected, but we're playing catch up, and some of those glitches are also because they put in the wrong user information or the dates. But yes, there was a small glitch in the system that did come up with that kind of error, and it was auto adjudicated and fixed, and we're playing catch up. So unfortunately, I am aware of those type of errors, and they're now farther and fewer in between, and most of them have been corrected. But I understand there's still a few handfuls that are out there. So we'll get them fixed for you.
Okay, we have another question. My girlfriend was trying to send her proof alien card within 10 days, and the site won't accept it. What do we do now?
The site won't accept it. You should upload that, no problem, as with any documents. You can go ahead and mail that alien card or a copy of it to us, and we will take care of it for you. But the best thing to do is just upload it.
We had another one here, Dave. Please ask about self-employed, which you said to imply as individuals instead of registering as employers. It states that it's in review and will take up to 21 days. Also, Dave, another one, if you could just address these. How about those who were processed clean with no issues on June 2nd but still don't have payment or transfer number?
Okay. The self-employed are always more of a challenge because of the nature that they're self-employed, and we're finding a lot that are put on hold are because of lack of documentation. They just put in their ID and then they say that they're self-employed, but we have no idea or proof of what they actually do, and they have a valid income from that business. So those are the kind of things that they need to, show to us that if you are doing something and you're self-employed, you need to prove either through a license, through a mayor's verification, or something that you actually do that for a living. And then you got to provide some kind of proof that you actually have an income, because you have to have. If you haven't made an income the whole year, then that's not a real employment. So most of the time, self-employed people lack a proper documentation to prove that they either have who they are, but what they do, and that they have an income. And those are the three elements that are always a challenge. And most self-employed are able to do it. You just might have to get creative. And as far as the other person on the June 2nd, there must be a hold or something that's on there. Either, again, the most common problem with people being placed on hold is lack of documentation. We have some people that just put in their claims and they put in no documentation at all. No IDs, no employer separation letters, no nothing, and they expect us to move forward with those claims. And we don't, we put holds on those, and we try to eventually call back to those people for them to provide those documents.
Got another one here. Why does it say the benefits were paid on the 25th and I still haven't received anything?
That's the system automatically generating a date, and that was something that was a part of the stateside package. And the reason why we kept it in there is to show the claimant, when they do put in the claim, that they have no issues, because the system generated that it is that everything that you did was good and was available for payment. Mm-hmm. So eventually, when we get caught up with the initial claims, and we'll be able to process those claimants and those weekly things on a more timely basis. Mm-hmm. And so it's mainly used for a tool for you to see that, yes, everything was clean and that it is going to be processed for payment.
What about another one here, some being paid with a partial check?
Partial check. Well, I can only try to figure it out. Okay. And the best thing I can do is if they had a problem with their claims, let's say they put in for like 10 weeks, and they might have had an income for 6 weeks, and they probably didn't put everything in there, and our people saw that there was some questions, then they would put a hold on some of those weeks and release the back weeks. That could be a good reason. So you would get the weeks that you were clean, that maybe you were furloughed, and then the weeks that you were reduced in hours, that you went back to work, but maybe you didn't properly justify your income. They probably could have put a hold. That's one scenario.
Mm-hmm. We have another one. If working 2 part-time jobs but furloughed and eventually lost 1 part-time job, would I qualify for assistance even if I still have the other part-time employment?
Is that a comment from Senator Muniya?
So, yes, you would qualify because you are not at full employment. And when you apply, you would basically include all your income from your other part-time job, and it would be you would qualify if you fall under the threshold, the 494.
Right.
Okay. What if you are self-employed but at a loss and work part-time?
If you are self-employed and what?
If you are self-employed but at a loss and then work part-time, would you be eligible?
At a loss. If I understand the question right, is that I assume he took a part-time job to
That's
help
what it.
out?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah. So that still would be considered. He lost his main job, and he was surviving on a part-time job. So he would qualify, but he would just have to report all the income from the part-time job.
Okay. And just real quickly,
he would get a reduced amount.
Am I able to receive unemployment if my employer received PPP funds? I called unemployment and was told as long as I make below $4.94 a week, I still qualify for unemployment during the period I received my full pay with PPP funds. Wanted to clarify this before I apply for those additional weeks.
That's one of the biggest questions that people are misunderstanding. PPP funds is income, and if it's not my program, but if I understand, an employer that receives those funds can either pay your full salary or up to 2/3 of your salary in order to still qualify for the forgiveness. So if you are getting that funds and you're getting your full paycheck, whether you're a part-time worker or a full-time worker, but you get your usual full paycheck, then you wouldn't qualify. But if through PPP you got a reduced amount, not your normal income, weekly income, then you would have been affected. And it's a reduced, so therefore you would qualify. Then you would report it, and then that's when the 494 would come in. After all you report all your total income, if it's below the 494, then you would qualify for a reduced PUA and the FTOP.
All
right. We have one more here, Dave, if you could.
Sure.
If I got hired on February and I was supposed to start work on April 1st, 2020, couldn't work due to the pandemic, but started working in June, am I qualified?
So you were hired in February, but wasn't supposed to start to work all the way to April? Well, that's a long period, but yes, if you can have a letter from your employer that shows that you were supposed to be hired and work on this date, but then you were furloughed or laid off because of COVID, then that's one of the things that, yes, you would qualify. And then when you go start full-time work, then you would, of course, be ineligible if you went to full-time work in June.
All right. Well, thanks, Dave, for coming on.
Yeah.
Any final comments before you get your day started?
Yes, I just want to state that I hear everybody's frustrations about calling the 311. They're doing the best they can. They're just inundated, and we will be starting to add more people as these teams of that I've spoke of start to. We can, disband those as far as going out and cleaning claims and stuff like that. We can shift them over, and we can build up and make those a little bit more robust so that we can get more people's calls in and fix those problem claims. That is something that I am trying to address, and I do hear your calls from that. Thank you guys for allowing me to come on.
Thank you. Yeah, maybe we could get you on one more time towards the end of the week with another update if you could.
No problem. Just got to ask me.
I will. Thank you. Wash your hands.
Take care.
Okay.
Wear a mask.
I will.
Okay. Bye.
Thanks.
Dave Della Sola, Labor Director. Thank you, Dave, for providing that opportunity and, giving us a way to ask questions from our listeners. If you guys have questions, send them to our inboxes. We do check our inboxes. Our inboxes are overwhelmed, but we still respond and take note. I copy a lot of messages and put them on our chat so we can follow up when we do get the people that we need to get these answers from. So, keep it coming and we'll do our part. It's 7:32. We'll take a short break and come back with more of Containing COVID next. Good morning, Guam.
I'm Governor Lou.
Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
KUAM News COVID-19 Takeover on I-94 FM is presented locally by Ambrose Inc.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus, gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
Be healthy. Be informed with ITD.
Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
KUAM News COVID-19 Takeover on I-94 FM is presented locally by Ambrose Inc.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus, gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
Be healthy. Be informed with ITD.
Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
KUAM News COVID-19 Takeover on I-94 FM is presented locally by Ambrose Inc.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus, gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
Be healthy. Be informed with ITD.
Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
KUAM News COVID-19 Takeover on I-94 FM is presented locally by Ambrose Inc.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus, gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
Be healthy. Be informed with ITD.
Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
KUAM News COVID-19 Takeover on I-94 FM is presented locally by Ambrose Inc.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
Be healthy. Be informed with ITD.
It's not always easy trying something new. Sometimes you have to help your loved ones along. Nana is so used to her weekly trips to the bank that going online can be a little scary for her. But her grandson knows that banking online is safer and easier. So he's teaching her how to get started using Bank of Guam's online banking videos. Teaching is one way to show our loved ones we care. Keep your family.
There's no return. I'm always on.
Hey, good morning. Little KFC kids from Chook here. Powered by Coffee Slut this morning. Thank you to the CS family for giving us the needed caffeine. 7:39. Good morning. It's containing COVID. Coming up around 8:15 or so, our weekly check-in with Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio. And I just learned he's going to be joined on the call with the Executive Director of the Guam Housing and Urban Renewal Authority, Rates Posnia.
Oh, okay.
So I'm guessing we're going to talk about housing the homeless. And if you guys caught the show yesterday, thank you if you did. You heard former Governor Carl Gutierrez, Uncle Carl.
Mm-hmm.
He just went off on the homeless. He said, whoever's doing this, they're not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the funny thing about it is he called out the governor's, the homeless group.
Task
force thing, and said that nothing's been done for a year and a half. Nothing's been done during the pandemic. Plot twist. That homeless task force is headed up by the Lieutenant Governor of Guam. So we're going to find out what he thinks about what Uncle Carl had said. You know, I got to say, Uncle Carl's right on this. Just haven't been enough action. Hasn't been enough, period.
It just seems like it's been one problem
one excuse after another.
After
problem.
another issue.
Yeah, so let's go to the phones here. 7:40. We're going to catch up with Vice Speaker Talina Nelson and bring her onto the show. Good morning, Vice.
Hi, good morning.
Good
morning,
morning.
Bree. Good morning, Chris.
It's been a while. How you been?
Super busy.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll just give you the floor for a couple minutes and tell us the stuff that's on your radar and what you're working on.
Sure, yeah. So we've, the second term, I really wanted to focus more on rehabilitation and addiction. And so one of the things we're trying to understand is the prescription monitoring program. And we've been on calls since the beginning of the term trying to improve the prescription monitoring program because of the opioid crisis. You know, we don't talk about it a lot, but we do have opioid crisis here on Guam and here nationally. And it's really the gateway to a lot of other drug abuse and drug use. And, you know, everyone in our family or we know someone either in our family or we know a friend who is suffering through drug abuse or substance abuse, and very little intervention or rehabilitation is invested in these programs to help them, if they want to get clean, to rehabilitate, to find a job, find a home, and there's just very little emphasis on it, and especially during this budget season, I really want to see what we can do to improve this program, and perhaps require prescribers to really take a look at the history of the individual when they prescribe medication and really stay true to the law where they can only prescribe a non-refillable amount for 7 days. I've known some people that have told me that when they go to the doctor for an injury or a pre-existing injury that reoccurs, they get more than a 7-day dose of like Percocet or Oxycontin. And, especially during this time of COVID, there were a lot of trends that have gone up, social issues trends like alcohol use, drug use, and so it's just really, it's a social matter, and it's something that's very close to my heart, to want to do something to help our community with. And so this is a policy route. I mean, we could do so much more. With this whole COVID, I've seen the enormous power and authority that the executive branch can hold, and I was really impressed that if you really wanted to do anything, you could. If you were, in the executive branch, if you were the executive, you could do it really, at the snap of a finger. It's just a matter of where your priorities are. So that's something we want to do, and we also want to. We're also looking at the schools, because this is very important. The schools closed earlier this year because of COVID, and the graduates, had this quasi drive-through kind of graduation, not really having the opportunity to traditionally celebrate their accomplishments. And so we want to see with GDOE and the charter schools how they're going to implement the next school year. Now, this is not an issue singularly to Guam. All the schools across America are trying to get feedback, and there are concerns about how we're going to move forward with scheduling and with technology, and really how is it going to impact the family life and the curriculum construct of education. So we're having hearings coming up just to get a deeper look into that, and how they came up and formulated, the board came up and formulated that process.
Vice.
Oh, and
yeah,
we're doing budget.
The budget.
Yeah, the budget.
Right.
This is really interesting. The budget is, I am amazed, because it's like the agencies are coming forward, and some of them are asking for a significant increase, and that's natural, but we're not really, I hate to say this, but I'm confused, because it's like I'm not seeing this picture where we haven't had revenue for 4 months, and we're not really talking about this in detail.
Yeah, we've
right?
been trying to get the budget chair to come on and talk about it, but I think he just doesn't want to badmouth the administration, because you're right, we're creating a whole new budget based on outdated information.
So have you guys not
dangerously outdated?
Has the legislature not received at this point a revised revenue projection? Because the one that was submitted in January was a nearly $1 billion budget, and the last time we spoke with Senator Joe San Augustine, he said that he was meeting with the financial people up at Adelup.
Yeah, that's the last we heard.
To go over the numbers and talk about the revenue projection. I mean, if you're going to put together a budget, you got to know what you're dealing with. So,
right.
Yeah.
Has there been any update on that?
I've been following the executive budget request that was sent down months ago, and it seems that the numbers are the same. I'm not in the Office of Finance and Budget Committee, so I'm not really privy to that. But I haven't seen any change in the budget, or any different type of approach. We've just my short time here, we've been doing this status quo budget. This traditional funding of operations, this traditional ensuring that the government's rent or leases are paid. But I'm hoping that perhaps the executive branch could lead with the Office of Finance and Budget and reconstruct how we do budget. And in different countries, they take an analysis of the core issues in the country, and then they focus the money on that and those programs, so we see something tangible. New Zealand, for example, I went on this Pacific Parliamentary Forum, and what they do is one of the issues that they had was child welfare. And so the issues surrounding child welfare was drug addiction, domestic violence, education, and homelessness. And so what they did was they took this data that they collected, and then they focused all programs around building and developing and providing solutions that we could actually see, that are tangible, that are concrete, that protect children. And so we're not really focused in that sense. Yes, agencies do have programs, but like you brought up earlier, the homelessness issue, we haven't really seen any movement on homelessness, and small amounts are spent to really invest in the people. So, especially with the impact of COVID, people have lost their jobs, our economy is changing because of the global impact. And so I think we just need to sit back and just really restructure how we do our budget. I've talked about it several times, just hoping the seed will start to, sprout a little bit in the executive branch and those that are in the Office of Finance and Budget, the committee of that.
Yeah, we haven't heard from the Office of Finance and Budget chair since he told us he was going to go to that meeting in Adloop. I think they might have kidnapped him and they put out a body double or something, because that's the last we heard from him. Or either that or they gave him a good talking to and they said, Joe San Augustine, you better not go in that containing COVID and question our numbers anymore, because that's the last we heard. I've been reaching out to him for 2 weeks. Literally, I've been messaging him. I've been messaging Joe Mesgun. They just no response, or I'll check, and so it's frustrating.
Yeah,
but it's election year, so I'm just trying to give him a way to come on and explain why you think that we're here with thousands of people out of work, government revenues drastically down, but we're still trying to pass $1 billion budget.
I think that, I don't think it. From my observation, it's just like last term. The executive budget comes out with a large request, and then they put it on us and say, okay, do what you need to do with it and appropriate. And I don't know, I've never seen us really go with the executive budget that has been submitted. I know we've always cut, and Speaker BJ at the time was always really good at finding that right number where he knew that the government would still be able to function and there wouldn't be any impact into operations. But I think that's probably, perhaps it's what he's trying to get a handle on, and he doesn't want to speak prematurely. But I don't know. That's just what I would think.
Mm-hmm. But what are you seeing though? You've been in the legislature, like you said, this is your second term, I believe. What are your thoughts on how the government is doing financially, and what we're looking at ahead? I mean, are we looking at the possibility of furloughs to sustain the government and keep it running?
I really don't know the answer to that, because everything's changing, and it's really hard to put the tail on the donkey, because the governor just extended, her executive power again, and extended the PCOR too, and so I don't see any revenue coming in. We need to start looking elsewhere to find a source of revenue. We need to start investing, in agriculture or horticulture, and start really doing all those things that the executive branch talked about, like advancing our telecommunications, being a data hub. Start really moving towards those lines of revenue, because COVID has impacted us globally. And if we continue to rely on tourism to sustain us, I think that it's not a safe it's not a safe presumption.
Definitely a great time to diversify. Vice, we know you got oversight of the airport. There are obviously some big changes over there. Just can we get your 2 cents on everything that occurred within the last week, from the resignation of Tom Atta to the the board putting in JQ as or JQ.
John
John
Canetta.
Canetta.
I mean, that's what he was known.
John Canetta, and then Ricky Hernandez is the deputy over at the airport. He went from like the controller to the deputy or so. Anyway, what's your take on this? Have you been able to kind of pierce the veil and find out anything at all about the chain of events that transpired in the last week?
You know, I was surprised when Tom resigned, and I found out through the news, just like everyone else, and yeah, there's a lot of rumors, but you know, I don't like speaking about rumors. It's just, you know, I'm more of a fact person, and perhaps that's my military discipline is, you know, you verify all of the things that you hear. And so we did attend the board meeting. I had a representative, and it was basically just, you know, a thank you to Mr. Atta and then general operations. And so, yeah, I don't want to presume anything until we see concrete facts.
Yeah, I'd asked the lieutenant governor about this the day that we learned, or was it the day of or the day after?
It was, well, the abrupt announcement was made the night before, and then we
Right.
spoke with him the following
So
day.
I spoke with Lieutenant Governor Josh the following day, and I asked him if he had heard about any complaints that were filed against Tom Atta while he was the airport executive manager, and I think his response was, "Oh no, nothing like that." But you know, those are the rumors, and you know, I'm glad you're working to verify that. So I guess next question: are you confident in the leadership that we now have in place at the airport?
Okay.
All right.
They've been appointed there. Apparently, they feel that these issues that we're going to foresee and do see as the impact because of flights not coming in or our tourism economy hurting. They're there for a reason. So, you know, I'd like to give them the opportunity. JQ, you know, is a former military man, so he's very familiar with operations. He's very familiar with working with individuals, with people, you know, and I think he has the capability to step up to the plate, and with his background as far as logistics, maneuvering, I think he can do a good job. And
What
Ricky's
about
a really smart guy.
what about the Doogie Howser of the administration? Ricky Hernandez.
I can't believe you said
Are
that.
you old enough to have this job,
Oh
dude?
my goodness. He was over at the legislature for a while, right?
I know, and I'm just kidding. You know me.
Yeah, I know you.
But Doogie Howser was a smart doctor too, so
Right,
it's more
I
of
know.
a compliment.
It is. It's just that he looks so young, and
Yeah, that's probably a blessing that God gave him. So.
right.
But he's
definitely.
very smart. He's a smart guy. I have a lot of respect for him. Many times we've talked, and we shared ideas, or you know, and he basically helped me to understand the government's finances. He was very thorough when he was working at the legislature on, you know, seeing all of the gaps in the government's finances, and so that's how we Speaker BJ, I believe, would rely on him to really understand what would be that number that we would appropriate when the executive branch would.
Well, I know they
request
should have
a higher
transferred him
amount.
to the legislature. Then it sounds like we need help figuring out the budget because, as you know, Senator Joseph Augustine is just taking Adelu's word for it.
It just seems so interesting that they would move him out, especially considering the Guam Economic Development Authority. Their role in all of this is extremely important as we try to get our economy back up and running. And they just started that program that the governor created for small businesses to apply for grants with the $20 million, I think, in CARES Act funding. And you know, he made the announcement, and then he up and left over to the airport.
Right,
so.
and I think if you know, because there was even a Facebook post the administration did, and they're just like, oh, he's a decorated financial hero, or I can't think of the right word, but that's not where you put a deputy. You don't put a guy like that in a deputy director slot. You don't. We see the other deputy directors. I mean, like Bobby Alvarez is deputy director of material. Richard Bonas. I mean, there are people you put in the deputy director slot, and I know he was deputy at Gita, but they treated him like he was the top dog there. So I just wanted to get your take on that.
Do you know who is the new deputy at Gita, by any chance?
I do not know.
Yeah,
I do not know who replaced. Yeah.
We know that Bobby Alvarez is apparently one of these guys who, I don't know, if you're like the deputy at GVB and they bring in a new deputy, Jerry Perez is now the deputy. I just thought Bobby had left the administration.
But yeah, he's over at Gita. I don't know if he's the deputy, but
I don't know what he's doing, but they mentioned him in the press conference. And
he's working on aquaculture.
Right, yeah.
And diversifying.
So you were talking earlier, Vice, about diversifying the economy, and one of those things, those words they always talk about is aquaculture and the fisheries. And so I think the governor had said Bobby Alvarez has experience in fisheries. I don't even know if we have fisheries on Guam. I don't even know if we have aquaculture. But I think what she meant is I seen him in a fishing pole at the beach, so maybe that's his experience. He goes fishing.
Go fishing a lot.
Yeah, I go fishing a lot. Put me in there. Put me in, coach. But obviously, he's just one of these guys who kisses it so good that they want to keep him around.
Well, I haven't seen Bobby do anything bad, and so
Have you seen him do anything good?
Well,
all right.
I think maybe. I think Ricky is one of those guys where you need when there's a, he's that utility player.
Right.
Right. Yeah. So he went and he helped out a lot in Gita and crafted this loan program with everyone there, and so maybe we need to, because the airport is also a big part of our economy.
Right. Mm-hmm.
They make a lot of money, and so maybe now we need to move our utility player here. Ricky is really good and versatile in that way.
Mm-hmm. Right. So I see what you're saying.
Maybe he might get moved again to another agency that will need his assistance. Right. I mean, I would see that. I would do the same thing. I would, if I was the governor, I would put my best player and my utility player in and move them around to fix things and make sure programs get going. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of Rickies.
Right. There's one. There's one Ricky.
Rickies, I think we'd be better off.
Maybe they should let him do double duty, like Tim Huggins now doing double duty as Homeland Security Advisor and Veterans Affairs. Jess Garcia is Deputy of Public Works. And is that the way? I wonder if that's going to be the new way. Everybody talking about government revenues and wise use of taxpayers' dollars. Are we just going to start having people head like 3-4 agencies at the same time? I wonder. But Vice, we got to run top of the hour.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Opportunity to speak about the prescription monitoring program.
Right.
And so hopefully we can get that going.
Amen.
Right.
Yeah, I feel you on that one, Vice. Thank
All
you.
right.
Let's make it a habit. Let's make it a habit. We'll see you next
Bye-bye.
week.
God bless.
Okay. God.
Wash your hands.
That was quick.
Let's keep it on the phones and stay in the legislature and bring on Minority Senator Louise Muniya. Good morning, Senator.
At the hour, I love it.
There you go.
Good morning.
Yeah, we're KUAM FM in Agotnya, Guam. It's containing COVID, the KUAM News Takeover, Guam's favorite. Good morning to our TV 11 viewers. And also, you can catch the show right here on the radio. There's also an audio stream, Docomo Channel 10, KUAM.com, the KUAM News app, and on KUAM TV 11. It's all brought to you by IT&E, Ambrose Inc., Calvo Enterprises, Coast 360, and the Bank of Guam. On the line now, Minority Senator Louise Muniya, who called in to answer questions about her filing for pandemic unemployment assistance. And I guess we'll just start at the beginning, Senator. So you applied for...
I think Sabrina waved at me, so I'm watching you guys on channel.
Oh, thank you.
Now,
Yeah.
so I'm going to wave back. I'm waving back to her.
Good morning.
I'm sorry. Good morning.
Right, yes. So just take us to the beginning, going through your mind, what made you think you were eligible to apply for the pandemic unemployment assistance?
Well, there were certain instructions when the Department of Labor first came out with the applications, because they had a process with the Hire Guam with the employers at first, and they were instructing the employers what to do. You had to register with Hire Guam. You had to show that you had some employees and list those employees that were furloughed or laid off during the pandemic. And because I was a singer with with the Sheraton and Dusit and CPK, all these other places. I'm giving them a little plug. And then, and the gym, you know, I was at International Sports Center, all these different places. I felt like I was qualified to do it based on my business license that I've had for many years, since the late 80s. And so I applied, and I assisted some of my musician friends to apply as well, too, because we were told that we fell under that category as contractors or part-time musicians. And so, yeah, I felt like I qualified for it, and I applied. And really, that's what it was. It was an application, and that's what an application process is. Either you find out if you qualify or you don't. And then after the applications came out to all the employees, and I applied, and I was going through some of the lists that Dave Della Sola was mentioning, that the common mistakes that people are making, I realized that I was one of those people that made that common mistake. And so I took the initiative to go ahead and write the letter to Dave Della Sola and tell him to please withdraw my claim. And that was about 2 weeks ago. So I'm a little bit curious as to why all this information is coming out now. If there was a concern about my application, it should have been at the very beginning of the month. And if there was a concern about my withdrawal letter, then that should have been about 2 weeks ago. It's happening now. I'm not
Yeah,
sure
but Senator, I mean, to be fair, if the media finds out about something, whether it's today or last month or whenever, it doesn't change that. And I don't understand. Are you trying to say you're the victim in this, or do you feel like this is part of some smear?
No, not at all. I'm not trying to say I'm the victim. I'm just saying that the circumstances are it's a little late in the game. I don't even, you know, honestly, I believe I took care of the situation by sending in my withdrawal letter and to remove my claim, and that should have been a done deal. I made a mistake. It was a genuine mistake that I didn't include all of my income. And here's the thing. Dave said a lot of people made that same mistake as well, too. And so I don't feel like I don't feel like I did anything wrong.
But you're a senator, though. I mean, you feel like, I'm just going to say it, devil's advocate, you should know better. You read bills, you introduce legislation, but you can't figure out how to apply for unemployment assistance and one of the most basic things?
Actually, it wasn't even basic. If you have seen some of the questions that are on the Department of Labor application, it is so confusing. There are several things that I had to go over and over again with other people as to how to answer this question, because the way it was asked, it was not very clear. And even the director, Dave Della Sola, said that it's an ever-evolving situation. They don't know that people are not qualified until they actually apply that way. And then
but you had a job. I mean, it's unemployment assistance, and you were employed.
Right. I was also unemployed through my business license. And so I think that's, you know, I mean, okay, I get it. There are some people who didn't have any income at all, period. But the instructions in the very beginning, when the application first came out, said that if you had some hours that were cut, if you were furloughed from your job, and that was it. I had a business license. And actually, you know, I'm not even trying to hide the fact that I've always made that money. It's all on my financial disclosures. You know, it's not like I was trying to hide the fact that I'm a part-time musician or I have a part-time job. And here's the thing, Chris, I'm my own breadwinner in my own home. I don't have a two-income household, so I do have to make ends meet. And although, you know, maybe people may criticize the amount of money that I make, I'm my own breadwinner. I have children my son in my home who was a dependent, and I had to take care of him during this pandemic because he lost his job.
But you were still getting paid, though, and, you know, thousands and thousands of people were not.
True.
And so what I see here, Senator, and I'm sure this just looks so bad for you. It looks so bad. I think it's an election killer, and I don't know if you can explain it. Well, I don't think it's going to hold up. The way you're explaining it now, it just sounds like you were trying to, you know, get something that you weren't entitled to. And then when you got caught, all of a sudden it became, everybody was doing it. And it's confusing. But again, you are a sitting senator, and we expect more from someone like you. Someone like you should know what it takes to apply for unemployment. I don't know. Call me crazy. That's just how I think a lot of people feel about it.
Yeah, okay. So, you know, I made a mistake. I said it's a genuine mistake, and I'm not, I don't know, maybe are you saying that I should have just known all the rules straight out? You know, I didn't. I made that mistake, and I corrected it. I corrected it. I don't know what else to say. I can't say that I'm not trying to I do have other income, and that income was compromised during the pandemic, and that's why I felt like I was qualified. That's all.
How much income are we talking about, Senator?
In my latest financial disclosure, it was about 12,000.
Is this just from March 16th, the start of the pandemic, to current?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. No, it wasn't. Not 12,000. Excuse me. Made it sound like I was a superstar or something. No. Since the beginning of the pandemic, it was probably about $300 a week from singing and from teaching aerobics or cycling, being at the gym.
How much is that for the... how much income did you lose as a result of COVID-19?
From March 13 all the way up until today, I haven't calculated total, but I would say if you times that March 13 all the way up until today times 300, that's about how much income I have lost.
Has the income that you've lost led you to do desperate things like line up for hours to get any grab-and-go meals, or line up for hours to get any commodities, like any of the thousands of people who have either lost their jobs or been furloughed or had their hours cut?
No, it hasn't, but it has compromised some of my bills that I have to pay.
All right. I think you've explained as much as you can in terms of this genuine mistake, as you said.
That's going to be a catchphrase, I'm telling you, Senator. That's going to be the new. It is what it is.
Well, I think that it is a unique situation, because I don't think there are any other senators that do have part-time jobs like myself. So yeah, I think I see why people are making an issue of it. I'm a single mother.
Anything else you want to add, Senator? Do you think this is going to affect your chances of re-election?
I don't know. It seems like it's being disregarded.
What's being disregarded?
That I'm a single mother.
So do you want a trophy or something?
No, I'm not.
No, I'm just saying. Are you going to play the single mother card or what?
No,
we're not disregarding anything. All we're doing is, asking you why you filed for unemployment.
Because
I'm a single father.
Okay, I thought I qualified, and when I realized that I didn't qualify, I withdrew my claim. I didn't collect any money. By the way, I also did get a stimulus check, and okay, is that everybody got a stimulus check? All the senators got a stimulus check.
Yeah, but you didn't have to apply for a stimulus check. I think you're just digging your hole deeper, but I'm more than willing to let you keep digging. I'll hand you a shovel if you want.
I think we're done here. Thank you, Senator,
I'm
for
just
calling
saying,
in.
You're trying to draw. You're trying to say that senators got stimulus checks. So what about them? Is that what you're trying to do? Is this a whataboutism?
Chris, I am so sorry. You know what? It's federal money, and I thought I qualified to apply. And when I found out I didn't qualify, I withdrew my claim. And that's it. It was an honest mistake, Chris. It's an honest mistake.
Genuine or honest? Both.
I don't know what I can find out the definition between the two, and I can share. It's a genuinely honest mistake.
So do you think your colleagues should give back their stimulus checks?
No, but it is federal money that is coming. It's not coming straight from the taxpayers' money. It's not. I'm not sure what you're trying to get at.
I'm not sure why you brought it up. You're the one that brought it up.
All right, Senator, we thanks a lot for calling in and at least giving us your side of the story and your reasons for...
All I have to say is that if people think they qualify, then they should apply. And that's the bottom line. If you don't qualify, they will tell you don't qualify. That's the bottom line. It was encouraged for everybody who lost hours, who had some part-time positions that were lost or full-time positions that were lost. That's what the instructions were. And when I went ahead and I applied, I found out I didn't qualify, and I withdrew my claim. And that's all I have to say. But I still encourage people who have lost hours to please go and apply for the unemployment because you could qualify.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't, they will tell you that.
All right.
Okay, Senator.
All right, thanks, Senator Muniya.
Thank you.
Wash your hands. All right. Don't breathe with the bailout over here.
No, I mean, she explained,
she did.
that she made a genuine mistake.
Right,
She's
but
a single
then-
mother. Was she in line waiting at grab and go? No, we all have different circumstances that we're dealing with. And she had 2 part-time jobs as a health instructor or fitness instructor and a musician, and that was a loss of income. And so she truly felt that she was eligible. At the end of the day, she is a senator. She's someone that you hold accountable. Should she have known? Maybe. Maybe not. And she sounded like she didn't know. So she applied, and when she realized at that moment that she should have claimed her senatorial salary or whatever the situation was, and it was a common misunderstanding, she reached out to the Department of Labor. She wrote a letter, and she asked that her application and her claim be pulled. What kind of impact it will have going forward on her senatorial career remains to be seen. But she came on the line, she owned it, she explained her side, and it is what it is.
There you go. Oh, you're right. Yeah, I mean, people are going to be divided on it, and just not something I'd want to be dealing with a month before an election. 8:14. Let's keep it going on the phones here. We have Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio. But before we get him on, I wanted to play this clip here that we had from yesterday's show with former Governor Carl Gutierrez, who really went in on the administration's efforts, if you will, to house the homeless. And so we'll play this clip from Uncle Carl. This is from yesterday's Containing COVID show.
At one point, I had that under my responsibility, but lately I've been told that for me to stick to tourism, and they have a task force for homeless, and I said, well, okay, sounds good for me, but so far it's been a year and a half, and that homeless group hasn't done nothing. For the homeless community, yes. I know that the governor wanted to move forward something quickly for the Paseo, but that was pulled away from her. But that group who has been charged with this thing, somebody's got to put some responsibility and urgency on these people, because what I was trying to do was solve the problem, long term.
There you go. LT, we'll go ahead and get you on here, and if you could, maybe just first respond to Uncle Carl's very biting commentary yesterday on the show. Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
We're doing
right.
doing pretty good.
How are you doing?
How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. I didn't hear about it until Governor Gutierrez called me to let me know about it.
That was I think I said it yesterday. That was unexpected.
Yeah.
We thought we were just catching up on the reopening of tourism, and I just happened to see this video of him and wanted to ask him about it.
Yeah. So I think I would just say that part of it is that since he's been over there, he's not been caught up on what's been happening on the procurement side as we try and inch towards things. I mean, even internally in my expectation, I thought we'd have some awards a couple weeks ago, but there's been different, I guess, methods that GSA has been utilizing in emergency procurement to try and get a couple of facilities. One is bed for the night, and the other one is more emergency shelter, short term, as we try and stabilize people. And I just have to say that in one of the methods, there have been offerers that are charging or submitting quotes that are 3 or 4 times the monthly price that has been advertised in the real estate market. And so there's some, I guess last week when I alluded to the price gouging, those are some of the factors. But there is an active procurement going on right now, and we'll see what happens at the close of business today. but the commitment is still there. It's really complicated. I just have a circular I just saw from State of California where the method of putting folks in hotels indefinitely has backfired and has turned into some bad outcomes with regards to safety for children and drug use and et cetera. So what I've been doing the last few weeks, I've met Catholic Social Services where I've been working with the Mayor's Council, and we have a strategy, or at least a policy that we're about to launch today in partnership with them, that I would say is going to provide some structure and some forward action for a comprehensive government response to the homelessness. And I think that will be out no later than tomorrow. But what it entails is shepherding and assigning resources and aligning them with what is being experienced in all of the villages, and being able to address multiple areas in homelessness. So, one of them is trying to everything from providing the shelter, from getting benefit specialists and case managers to work on these individual cases. There was a recent statute that Senator Mary Torres enacted, or a bill that got into law that establishes ID cards for homeless individuals so they can try and establish some identity and get some services. There are people that are stranded here. There's about 12 of them that are wanting to return to the Northern Marianas, and so there's a family reunification program that we're working on. And then also there are some veterans and others that people that would be entitled to SSI or already are SSI in the States that probably could be able to be returned home under another program to stabilize themselves. So there is a lot. I don't want to get into the specifics of the procurement until it's wrapped up, knowing that there are still offers and still parties that are making submissions today to GSA. But I do have to say that in the emergency procurement side of the house, there certainly probably is room for improvement in terms of how you can try and acquire the facilities.
Is there like a deadline for when to apply? And
for
it
offers,
just seems like this is just an open.
So the deadline they had to do a refresh last week, and there is an ad out there, and the deadline is today.
Okay, to apply.
Hello?
Oh no, I heard some audio.
There's a little delay.
Yeah. Yeah. I was wondering why am I hearing myself? I thought
there's two of you.
Me too.
So did
but,
you?
The way I see, when I spoke to Governor Gutierrez, I'm not interested in, and we talked, we're not interested in getting, into bickering, and that I think he's expressing he has a hat now down in for his role in tourism, and just like him, I've been to that parking structure. There is a private property owner there that I think should be held accountable. And
don't get me started on that, LT. Oh.
Yeah, I heard the property has been sold. It's in escrow, but I think that trying to find places to relocate people has been the issue. Remember, months ago, we thought about Paseo, and then there were some issues, and then even the federal government has been going back and forth about congregate, non-congregate shelters, and it's been kind of something that we needed to straighten out and try and clear up, because it's nationally everybody is having misses and trying to deal with this slot. For us, our big miss is that the timeline in which we expected there to be some interim shelter was about 6 weeks ago, and that is, I told you last week, I would say that that's been one of the big misses that we need to straighten out, and that's why I've gotten even more personally involved in this.
Right. But did it light a fire, though, LT, if one wasn't already lit, when you have, Uncle Carl going on and basically songing you guys that, hey, what the hell? I mean, the gist of his comments were really like, WTF, what's going on? A year and a half, no action. And then you lead this group that he was talking about. So,
well, he tried anyway. And there's different groups involved that I think he was telling me yesterday. He was thinking about, but part of the leadership is this has been an issue that I've been caring about, and I've been trying to sort out, and it's an issue that has been going on for 10 years. And I'm hopeful that in the next week or so we'll be able to gain some time and try and put some closure. The other frustration has been some gaps, and I've been working with public health, some gaps in CPS and some shortages. And by the way, if you're a social worker or if you retired and you want to work for CPS, contact public health, because there is some resources and there is a priority to get more people in there to help. But one of the big frustrations is the unsheltered kids out there, and I've been pushing back on some internal policies that say that unsheltered kids, if they're with their parents, are not at risk, and I totally disagree. And that's something that we're straightening out right now. Some of the cases, and I do want to thank Paula Perez from Catholic Social Services and her team, including Salvation Army, for going out there. They have been doing some casework, and they've identified some of the families and some of the individuals to determine whether or not they will actually take the option, which is theirs, to try and get some shelter. And so that had resulted in a dual strategy of there's some people that are just looking for a bed for the night. Some of them, surprisingly, are working in the construction industry, for example. Some of them have been fighting with their family, and they just need to, they're trying to repair those relationships. And some of them have been kicked out of public housing because they haven't followed rules, or they have, or there's been a conviction for criminal sexual conduct that has been discovered, and based on federal laws, have driven them out of that subsidized federal housing. So there is some local resources that we have to put in as part of this to fund the gap, because there is a big grant, relatively big grant that is ready for award to some of the shelter providers that is still being finalized at the HUD level for GURA, that will provide some vouchers, but those won't be, but people with the CSC convictions, even if they have kids, won't be eligible for that. And that's where we have to throw in some resources to stabilize them, and then come up with, the proper management and different levels. I mean, it is kind of complicated, but I think we're going to get through with it. I'm confident we're going to get through with it and give some people some options that are sustainable.
What's your timeline?
This is like the top thing right now I'm dealing with. Actually, I would say this is number 2. Right after number 1, of course, is preventing the spread and monitoring the numbers and making sure that public health has resources on the testing and the tracing. But this is right up there. This is something that I am spending a good portion of my time every day, 7 days a week, trying to push through and make some progress here.
Yeah, because it seems like it is really concerning, considering the fact that we're in typhoon season. There's this focus by the physicians that we need to stay healthy, and when you see some of the homeless people that are out there, in the rain, the likelihood that they could get sick and end up in the hospital or
those are all the things that are going on in my mind. Absolutely. And of course, the big thing is the kids.
Yeah, and the children.
Yeah.
It is really sad. But it's good to hear that you've got, GORA trying to find them homes.
There are multiple. There's a whole lot of people that I'm driving, trying to make some good progress that is going to be effective for them. And I also want to thank Diana Calvo from Catholic Social Services for steering us away from some of the methods that were tried in the past that didn't work. You know, for example, in the past they had acquired some shelter in different areas of the island that people didn't want to go to because it was too far away, or it was away from some of the areas that they can get services. So that's all being taken into consideration. I mean, last week I was out there looking at some of the some abandoned homes over under Guam Housing Corporation, and also looking at some of the government land out there that we can try different methods. After we get this, the immediate bed for the night and emergency shelter, our work still is not done. And I think that it's going to, there's going to be some additional, more long-term things that we'll be acquiring in the short term. One gap that the folks at Catholic Social Services tell me that is missing is long-term transitional housing for people that are going through rehab or getting their skills training, getting them up to become employed, and that's causing a backlog in folks at in mothers and kids at Alley Shelter and some of the other streams of emergency shelter that are out there. So that's kind of like where we're at. I would tell you that our plan and our strategy for how we're going to coordinate the government agencies and align them with the Mayor's Council will likely be issued tomorrow.
I want to say we heard this one before, but I'm really hopeful.
Yeah, well, it's true. But, I mean, the pressure for me and for our government is to follow through and meet that expectation. And, this is something that I'm going to be working very hard to get done.
What are we talking about, this strategy?
So one of the issues I feel that has been going on is that over the last 8 years, the government outsourced responsiveness to homelessness to the Homeless Coalition, which is a nonprofit that there are some agencies that are involved, but it isn't leadership that's involved. And so when you ask who is the lead agency of the government of Guam on homelessness, every single agency kind of takes a step back because it's in conflict with some of their missions and mandates. GURA, Ray Tapasnia here, was pushing to be the lead agency, but his federal grantors are letting him know that because of all the exclusions, he cannot be the lead agency when it looks like, based on some of the counts, we have folks that are ineligible for HUD programs that are in the homeless group and therefore would not be able to get services from them. And so public health is another area that you would think, because of the social service, human service side. But as you know, their number one priority right now is dealing with this public health emergency. And the Mayor's Council has been talking about how they know exactly who the people are and some of the gaps. And so based on that, we are creating a structure that is going to empower and direct the agencies and establish who exactly is going to be the lead, and then have some mandates. And I think that some of the mandates are going to connect the dots between programs that should be able to be used to help people based on the circumstances, and gaps in which people are not getting approved or getting seen to get into those streams. That's a big thing that has been going on.
What about these are you done with Bree?
Yeah, well, I just want to know, so we're going to have mayors, helping fill out applications, homeless people?
No.
Or, I mean
Bree, like I said, we'll you'll see that in the next day or two.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
But I have been meeting with almost on a daily basis with some of the mayors developing and determining what are the most effective paths and what are the areas that are being missed right now by the government.
Yeah, and you're right. They would know. I mean, we've talked to enough mayors in the last several months.
Right. Like as a basic example, mayors are supposed to, if you're going to get a real ID or any ID, you have to get a mayor's certification, right? But mayor's certifications are tied to addresses. So how are homeless people going to get an ID if there's no address, right? And that's something that I think that we'll be able to resolve in this structure that we've been that we're organizing right now.
Okay.
Could we just get a statement on the retirements and the reshufflings that are going on in the administration, LT?
Well, I guess I would just say that sometimes people make decisions to leave for their personal reasons, but our government is going to continue. And as a veteran of another administration, I would tell you that you always see people coming in and leaving based on their personal situations. I do want to recognize Linda Denorsi, who has done a tremendous job with her team at Public Health. And I'll just say that, I've always known that we were on borrowed time with her because she had plans to retire prior to us getting in, and we had to talk her into staying. I do admit that I didn't think that she would leave this soon. But after talking to her and understanding, some of the reasons, I totally supported, and I'm just very grateful for all the things she is doing to respond. And I'll just say that what I've learned about her in the big picture, because I've also been working a lot with some of the regional and national officials that are in the areas of public health. Our community health centers have been built pretty much by her leadership, and we have some of the best community health centers in the country. Our community health centers are looked to as models for other states and territories, and that has a lot to do with how committed she is and how keenly aware she is of what the public health needs are. And so I just very grateful and thankful that she gave us this time, and wish her well. And hopefully one day when I get to travel, I'll get to visit her in this house that she's had abroad for years.
Las Vegas?
Yeah.
Wow.
I have to say that I had to, when the dengue situation occurred, right? And then I had to go and take over a mission for the government at the UN and at the Pentagon. You remember that, Chris? We spoke when I was in New York.
Yeah.
I dropped by. She had also been invited to speak at the Guam community in Nevada, and I met her entire family over there. And they were telling me that her house is waiting for her, and can we go ahead and let her go? And but I wish her well.
I remember Linda, though, because I did an interview with her, and she was talking about how she was going to be retiring, and this was years ago when they finished building the
Southern Public Health
community,
which she was so integral in.
Oh gosh, I did a whole tour, and it was still brand new, and it was so beautiful. And that facility, like you mentioned, LT, was practically all built from federal funds that she helped secure.
Yes. The other thing she did is that she has, she really did a lot of progress with electronic health records. And the one thing that I worked on closely with her is a shift in which GMH and Public Health made a decision and are now in the middle of rolling out their alignment for electronic health records. And it's all based on a structure that she'd been working on. And so there's a lot of tremendous things that and I would say that no matter what, she also knows that how to handle pressure, because she has been managing a department during a pandemic, which is quite an amazing feat.
Were you at all taken by surprise when the governor's legal counsel resigned? Because that seemed kind of abrupt, too.
No, he had been talking about it for months and months and months. And so, you know, I mean, it was always going to be his decision how long he was going to stick it out, and, you know, making some decisions for his own quality of life, you know, and wish him well, too.
I was just wondering, because we were talking about this, right? There's still a lot of unanswered questions with this procurement, and would he still be made available? I'm not just sure on the logistics of it. Let's say if the senators wanted to do another oversight hearing, who would answer those questions about his role in that whole process with the emergency procurement? Or now that he's no longer working?
Well, no matter what, remember that there's still an audit going on, right? And so, you know, obviously there's still a process. But I do want to tell you that I received word yesterday that despite the controversy and the scrutiny that transaction had, FEMA's Public Assistance Office has reviewed it and has now made decisions to process and approve reimbursements for that portion of the quarantine. That just happened yesterday.
Oh, wow. So was there, because I remember Estevez and they seemed to say that they were going over the process and trying to like shore up paperwork gaps and all that.
So I'll give you some insight into FEMA process since I used to be a GAR. The public assistance team landed last week, and the public assistance team they'll send out folks that will be reviewing all these project worksheets that get submitted by all the agencies throughout the government. And then they take a look at the contracts, they'll take a look at the justification, and then they initiate a pretty long relatively long process because things don't happen overnight with them. You have to make decisions about what is eligible and what's ineligible, and then after the eligibility determination is made, then they do all of the processing and the paperwork to line things up. As I understand from yesterday, they've looked at the operation, they reviewed the documents, and they reviewed the situation, and they made a decision on determining it's eligible, and then now they're in the longer part of that process now, which is just getting all of the lining them up for all of the processing and the review and documenting everything and making the applications complete, I guess, is the more.
So are you saying that we're going to be reimbursed for it, or that they're saying it's eligible to be considered for reimbursement?
Well, it looks like it's going to be reimbursed. How much will be reimbursed is always going to depend on at the end of the completed application. They're here to make sure that everything is prepared for the final submission of the GAR, which is John Junior Calvo, and the approval of the disaster, the federal coordinating officer, which right now is Bob Fenton. The difficulty for FEMA right now is normally you have a federal coordinating officer assigned to a disaster. This one, Bob Fenton, who is a good friend of mine actually for the last 20 years, he's a regional administrator. He is now the federal coordinating officer for the entire western region. So how long that's going to be, this is a new thing for FEMA to be operating disasters in every single state and territory. So I guess we're all going to be learning how fast that process is going to be for project at the same time.
Right. Okay.
Were you going to ask anything else?
No, I'm okay.
No. Okay, I just wanted to, before we let you go, is there anybody else retiring or resigning?
Are you resigning or retiring?
I am not resigning or retiring. I have a job to do, and every day I wake up, and I always am going to be optimistic, trying to get through this despite all of this other stuff going on.
Yeah.
That's one thing I'll always tell you. And if I'm pissed off, then, I'm going to drink some Bud and go to sleep. Then the next day I'll be back up.
drink some Bud or smoke some Bud?
Maybe a little bit of both. No.
I'll invite you over, Chris, and you let me know.
Who's the deputy administrator of GITA replacing Ricky?
That hasn't been named yet.
Okay. All right.
And then what can you tell us about Bobby Alvarez, his new role at Gita?
He's been working on aquaculture, and there's a big movement that we're working on with agriculture and aquaculture with University of Guam and Guam Department of Agriculture. And the reason that and what we're excited about is this is a third leg now for us, and we have made this a big priority for Gita. And with Mel Mendiola's experience in agriculture, I think we'll be able to do a good thing. But we're working closely on this with Dr. Bob Barber, with Jess Bamba up there at EOG, and then with the team at Department of Agriculture. And I would just say stay tuned to that because there's some big movement happening along there.
All right, LT.
And let me pass you on to Ray.
Oh, right. Thank you.
Forgot about it.
All right.
Okay, thank you. Have a great day. Thanks for always bringing information to the people. So hold on for a minute.
Right. Okay.
Thanks,
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. Now let's get Gura Director Ray Tapasi. They were just in the same meeting, and
Oh, okay.
yeah. Good morning, Ray.
Good morning.
First of all, we're doing good. Are you planning on resigning or retiring anytime?
Not unless the governor asks me to. So no,
Okay.
I have no plans to do that.
Okay. And then I know you're standing right next to Lieutenant Governor. Is there anything else you can offer us on the services he was talking about that are going to be made available to the homeless?
Well, maybe if I can just clue you guys in, because our administration's taken a big hit with respect to the homeless issues. But the point in time homeless count, and I really have to share this with the public. Back in 2011, it was 1,745 homeless individuals. In 2010, it was slightly less. It was 1,635. When we took over in 2019 and we did the point-in-time homeless count, we had 875 homeless individuals. And then recently, just January of this year, there was another point-in-time count, and we had 790. That's about 85 less than the previous year. So, I mean, while there's a lot of work to be done by GORA, by the Guam Housing Corp, by the Homeless Coalition, and all of our private partners, obviously what we're doing is starting to chip away at the homeless numbers. And but I'm with the Lieutenant Governor. We want to keep working hard towards minimizing, if not completely eradicating, homelessness here in Guam. But it's really unfair the amount of pressure that the governor has received and the Lieutenant Governor when you really look at the numbers, and it's almost 1,000 less than 10 years ago.
All right. Well, you said 790 in January. In interviews we have done with the Salvation Army and Catholic Social Services and other nonprofit organizations, they've mentioned that since COVID, though, they've seen more people coming in.
Oh, obviously. I mean, we anticipated that. I'm just letting you know that prior to COVID, which is January 2020, the numbers actually dropped significantly.
Yeah.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I'm just saying that whether it is 200 or 500 or 800, there are still people out there that are homeless. There are children out there that are homeless. So to me, the numbers, that's fine if you want to bring that up as a point. But we're still waiting for some sort of a solution for these homeless people.
And that being said,
And
I think
I
that
just don't want to play a numbers game when we're
Right,
dealing
yeah.
with lives.
Right, they're not just numbers. And then with the pressure, I think it's not unwarranted. I think I'm surprised there's not more pressure.
Oh, no, there's pressure every day. In fact, and the Lieutenant Governor mentioned this earlier, we meet almost daily. I'm here even on Saturdays. And I believe in once the press conference is held and they actually sign off on the executive order, a lot of people are going to be surprised. Some of the things that we're proposing are going to be revolutionary. It's not even done in Hawaii and other places. And it's indicative of the amount of work that was put into this. And granted, there were a lot of missteps along the way. But, even the feds themselves, and we talk to HUD almost daily. We've talked to HHS and FEMA. And everybody's learning. This pandemic has changed the way we deal with homelessness. And we've had a lot of discussions with the Homeless Coalition as well, because a lot of the things that they're accustomed to doing may not necessarily work. under a pandemic. But the bottom line is you are going to make a lot of changes, I believe, and I think GORA is going to play a key role. But, and the Lieutenant Governor mentioned this earlier, I also have people have to recognize that we house 4,882 families, but we still have thousands on the wait list. So I need to focus a lot of my efforts not just on this homeless problem, but making sure that our $70-some million operation continues to be at a level that where we're continuing to comply with HUD regulations. And we jump around between a standard performing housing authority and a high performing housing authority, but we've never gone below that. So collectively, I think we're making a lot of strides, but yes, we have a lot of work, and we're committed, we're mission focused, and we'll continue to come to work every day. And as the Lieutenant Governor says, even 7 days a week.
All right. Well, thanks, Ray. Was there anything else that you wanted to ask, Chris?
I'm good.
All right. Thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks, Ray, and we look forward to.
I hope.
Huh?
I'm not going anywhere, I hope.
Okay. Well, we look forward to, the initiative that you guys plan on announcing right this week, tomorrow, possibly.
Yeah. Surprise,
Okay.
surprise! It's gonna be awesome.
Okay. Is it going to be a press conference or Zoom?
I'm pretty sure the governor would want to hold a press conference.
Okay. All right.
Tomorrow.
Okay. Tomorrow, I hope.
Okay.
Thanks, Ray.
Thanks, Ray. Wash your hands.
Okay. Well, bye bye.
Right. Hi, Bree.
Hi. We're going to take a break?
I know, man.
No?
I felt like you were just about to go
what?
off there on that. What do you think, though, about the answers we got?
I think we just got to wait till tomorrow. I mean, I didn't really hear, other than we've got something we're going to announce.
It's a clickbait. We're going to announce something. Check you tomorrow. All right. Well, we'll be there. It's 8:49. We'll take a short break containing COVID. Continues next on Guam's favorite. Good morning.
Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
KUAM News COVID-19 Takeover on I-94 FM is presented locally by Ambrose Inc.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
Be healthy. Be informed with ITD.
Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
KUAM News COVID-19 Takeover on I-94 FM is presented locally by Ambrose Inc.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
Be healthy. Be informed with ITD.
Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
KUAM News COVID-19 Takeover on I-94 FM is presented locally by Ambrose Inc.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
healthy. Be informed with ITD.
Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
KUAM News COVID-19 Takeover on I-94 FM is presented locally by Ambrose Inc.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
Half a day. When it comes to applying for unemployment benefits, as it relates to the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance and Federal Pandemic Unemployment Compensation programs, the first thing you'll need to do is create an account and register on HireGuam.com. Utilizing this button rather than the Not Registered button at the upper right login box will ease the pool registration process, as it was built specifically for the pool program. The first page you'll see is the welcome page that explains the pool program and the 10 scenarios of eligibility that caused unemployment. Read through it entirely, and if any pertain to you, click Next. Input your social security number and then re-enter to confirm. Notice at the top of the page, the eligibility section is completed and the registration process begins. In order to complete your registration process, you will be asked to provide the following: a username and password and select a security question, an email address, or if you don't have one, you will be required to create one with the link provided, your residential and mailing address if different, your preferred notification method to receive benefit notices and updates, any prior military or current military service, education, occupation, your preferred payment method, such as direct deposit or paper check. Now, if you opt for direct deposit, you will need to supply your bank account and routing number. And since these benefits are taxable, whether or not you would like your taxes withheld. When you see the page notifying you to proceed to make your PUA claim, you have completed the registration process and may continue to the work history portion of the claims process. Input your last employer data, job title, and employment information. When the system prompts you to enter your last day worked, make sure you enter the date in which your employment status was directly affected by COVID-19. For example, if you were furloughed on April 1st, 2020, but have since returned to work, you will enter April 1st and not yesterday. Complete the rest of your work history information and add as many past employers as needed. Once completed, you will be required to certify that all information is true and correct, that you are responsible to keep informed of program benefits and reading program material, and that you acknowledge that any false statements are punishable by law and could result in a fine, imprisonment, restitution, and a loss of future benefits. Read through PUA's to-do list and take note of the following. Immediately file your weekly claim. Report all income for the week to include tips, commissions, and gratuities, even if you have not yet been paid. If you return to your normal pre-pandemic work hours or return to work and make over $494, you must stop filing a weekly claim. You must be able and available for work. If you are offered your job back and refuse for a non-COVID related reason, you are no longer eligible to receive PUA benefits. And at PCOR 3, you must look for work by contacting at least 3 different employers about job openings. Be sure to upload a valid government-issued ID and supporting documents to strengthen your claim. Congratulations! You have completed the PUA claim filing process. It's time to file your weekly claim. Click on the File Your Weekly Claim button to proceed. Read through the explanation of the weekly certification process and advisories before proceeding. Notice that the weekly certification process begins the week in which you claimed as your last day of work. Answer each page honestly and input additional information as required. However, if you have since returned to work, be sure that on the weekly claim of the day you returned, you adjust your weekly earnings accordingly. Congratulations! You have filed your weekly claim. Make sure you file for all previous weeks you were affected to present. Now continue to file every week thereafter to receive unemployment benefits for those weeks. For more information on how the Guam Department of Labor can assist you, visit our website at dol.guam.gov.
Be healthy. Be informed with ITD.
Hey, all right. Hey. Zappity-doo, la Bree and I have a secret desire to become more jazzy. You know, I just want to be more jazzy. What do you think, Bree, if I come to work tomorrow with like a black turtleneck and a little beret?
Hey, I'm all for it.
You all right? They should coordinate that.
I'll wear my black turtleneck. You wear yours. And
Do you have a beret, though?
no, I don't have a beret.
I got to get me a beret. I think I could rock that, you know. A little to the side, you know. Hey, it's 9 o'clock. Running a little bit behind with our news, but, you know, better late than never. And so let's do it with a dive into the day's COVID-19 headlines from the KUAM News team with the very latest. Good morning, Sabrina Salas-Matanani.
Half a day. Good morning, everyone. We begin with the latest count of confirmed COVID cases on Guam, and the number has gone up. According to the Joint Information Center, on Monday, Public Health's lab ran 65 tests and 2 popped positive for the coronavirus. As reported, 5 new cases were reported Monday afternoon, 4 from the lab at DLS and 1 from U.S. Naval Hospital. The total number of confirmed cases is now 255, with 5 deaths, 179 recoveries, and 71 active cases. The governor, meanwhile, making it official, signing another executive order to extend her declaration of a public health emergency for Guam. It was originally set to expire yesterday, but it has now been extended to July 30th. The island also remains in PCOR 2. All current restrictions remain in place. Effective July 1st after midnight, the latest iteration of public health's quarantine protocols will go into effect. The latest version is that if you are arriving from an area designated as high risk and you have a 72-hour pre-arrival negative COVID test, you can home quarantine. If you don't, then you will go into a government quarantine facility. And now, if you are on home quarantine, you can test out after 7 days. What hasn't changed is the fact that all arriving passengers are subject to 14-day quarantine. Here on Containing COVID yesterday, we brought up a concern from one of our viewers about one of the guidelines in the current quarantine protocols that allow people to leave their homes for takeout and shop for groceries. Dr. Felix Cabrera of the Governor's Physicians Advisory Group was surprised that was included in public health's quarantine protocols. After his interview on our show, Dr. Cabrera says the issue was addressed during their daily briefing with the governor and lieutenant governor. He says this guideline will be changed and will also go into effect on July 1st. District Court of Guam Chief Judge Francis Tidinka Gatewood has ruled in favor of the Archbishop of Agana, or the Archdiocese, in a case against the U.S. Small Business Administration. The Archdiocese filed suit after it was denied a PPP PPP loan because it is in bankruptcy. According to the Chief Judge's opinion, it states that we are at an unprecedented time. The COVID-19 pandemic has caused our nation and our economy to come to a screeching halt. It required unprecedented congressional action. Through the passage of the CARES Act, over $600 billion was allocated for the Paycheck Protection Program, meant to sustain thousands of small businesses struggling to survive. Unfortunately, acting outside its statutory authority, the SBA excluded those who are in need the most, Chapter 11 debtors. The preliminary injunction the judge granted cures the unauthorized exclusion of the Archbishop of Agana from the PPP. Without a doubt, the PPP would provide a lifeline to the financially distressed Archbishop of Agana. Quote, while it will not resolve financial troubles, the PPP funds will likely help facilitate a path towards a successful reorganization. Today is the official deadline to file for candidacy for the August primary election. And a former 5-term Guam congressional delegate, Dr. Robert Underwood, announces that he will be filing his candidacy today to regain the seat. Underwood retired recently as president of the University of Guam. He will run against fellow Democrat Michael San Nicolas, who is completing his first term. Senator Will Castro has announced his plan to run for delegate on the Republican side. Meanwhile, Veterans Affairs Director Fred Berdalio has resigned to run for senator. Berdalio confirms with KUAM he is seeking a seat in the 36th Guam legislature as a Democrat candidate. Homeland Security Advisor Tim Uggan has been detailed to Veterans Affairs to replace Berdalio, but he said he will still retain his role as Homeland Security Advisor as well. Meanwhile, as of Monday, a total of 28 individuals have filed seeking a seat in the 36th Guam legislature. The latest ones to file include former Senators Frank Blas Jr. and Joanne Brown. Michelle Armenta has filed, incumbent Talina Nelson, and documents were also filed by the committee to draft former Senator Dennis Rodriguez Jr. Again, the deadline to file is today, 5 p.m. at the Guam Election Commission in Hagåtña. After serving 30 years in the U.S. Navy, U.S. Naval Hospital Guam Commanding Officer Captain Maria Young has retired. She served as a staff nurse on a surgical ward and multi-service unit and moved on to serve in multiple leadership roles. Young led as a division officer, department head, risk manager, director, executive officer, and finally as commanding officer. She expressed that although she was a leader, she enjoyed working as a team and watching others lead. At U.S. Naval Hospital Guam, her team consisted of almost 600 active duty service members and almost 200 civilian and contract employees. Young relinquished her duties to Captain Thessley Scott, Nurse Corps officer and native of Charleston, South Carolina. In regional news, we bring in Tomas Manglonia, who has the very latest from the CNMI. Hafa Tomas.
Good morning, Bray and Chris. Here's the latest making news in the Northern Marianas. The CNMI legislature yesterday met with members of the governor's COVID-19 task force at the House for a briefing on the state of the island's public health response. Here's Chair Warren Villagomez. Take a listen.
Chairman JP, yes, it's still going on, and it's we want to actually. I'm very excited to be in this body. Because the plan to the next forward movement of community testing is precinct testing, and I want to bring it to this body that we need assistance on the precinct level to coordinate precinct level testings, to embrace and engage with our community to promote testing within the precincts, and I want to see and maybe through the task force member, Chairman Utibus, if he can guide the COVID task force on a point of contact here at the legislature to initiate the precinct testing. The place that's recommended, recommendations best to identify the vulnerable population within the precincts, and at what level of efforts do we need to engage in our community that are challenged with transportation, language barrier issues, at what level of, coordination that we need to bring our community that hasn't been tested to be tested. So yes, that is still ongoing, Chairman JP, and we want to encouraged. We still, actually, we haven't shut down testing. Just yesterday, we're doing community-based testing at Kanoa with coordinated, efforts with the business community. So it's still a moving efforts on. Thank you.
He explained that the remaining needs to ensure village-based testing can be implemented soon. Representatives also asked the chair and the COVID-19 task force who expressed concern for the capacity to monitor incoming passengers in self-quarantine. They also discussed plans for schools to reopen in the fall and the status of the alternate care site at Kanoa Resort. To date, the CNMI has tested just over 8,000 of its residents, remaining at 30 confirmed positive cases with 2 deaths. The last confirmed case was documented about 20 days ago. And as of yesterday, the hospital's CEO, Esther Muniya, tells KUAM that there remains only 1 active case at the Kanoa Resort Isolation Facility. Bring Chris, that's the latest making news here in the CNMI.
Thanks, Tomas. More tax relief for small businesses and a choice in health insurance providers. Those were among the 6 bills signed into law by the governor. Here is our Nestor Lecanto with a summary.
A bill by Senator Joe San Agustin, now Public Law 3590, waives the business privilege tax for certain small businesses that make more than $50,000 but less than $250,000. Businesses that make more than $250,000 but less than $500,000 will pay 3% BPT rather than the full 5%. The provision expires in June 2022. Another key new law was authored by Senator Jose Pito Turlahi to provide a choice in health insurance providers beginning with the fiscal year 2022 contract. The GovGuam negotiating team will submit the top 3 most economical and beneficial carriers to the governor for approval. Employees may choose from among those plans, but any difference in premiums shall be paid by employees at their own cost. The 4 other measures signed include a bill by Senator Kelly Marsh Titano that directs Parks and Recreation to develop a rip current and hiking safety awareness program and outreach plan. A bill by Senator Mary Torres to terminate the parental rights of rapists who father a child. 2 bills by Senator Amanda Shelton to appropriate monies to UOG and GCC for institutional improvements from their respective endowment funds. 1 other measure by Shelton was allowed to lapse into law without the governor's signature. The governor said a bill to provide up to $2,000 in pandemic assistance from the CARES Act to families with qualified dependents. The administration said it was concerned about unfairness in compensation to an unwed single parent. It was also concerned that it is unlawful for the legislature to appropriate federal funds. For Guam's News Network, I'm Nestor Lecanto.
From District Court for a second time, William Tapasya Mantanotnia's sentencing has been pushed back a month. Mantanotnia pled guilty to obstruction of justice charges for conspiring with his brother, former GPD officer John Boom Mantanotnia, and former juror Greg Tekenko to influence a jury to vote not guilty in the Raymond and Juanita Martinez drug trial case. Mantanotnia was originally set to be sentenced back in May. However, due to the pandemic, his hearing was rescheduled to yesterday morning. Defense counsel William Gavris filed a stipulated motion because of his client's health concerns. And further, attorney Gavris is waiting for a debriefing from an important witness he plans to bring forward. Court documents state that Mantanotnia plans to call at least 3 witnesses to testify during his sentencing. Ultimately, the court vacated the hearing. It has been moved to July 27th. According to the plea agreement, Mantanotnia faces up to 5 years in prison and a $250,000 fine. Evan Montville Cohen admitting to violating his pretrial release conditions. Montville Cohen faces aggravated identity theft and wire fraud charges for allegedly using one of his employees' personal information to rent an apartment in Tamuning last year. Due to health concerns, the court granted his release from custody to a third-party custodian, and as stated in court, these medical issues resulted in him violating his conditions. He addressed the court explaining how he has been in and out of the hospital throughout the month of May and did not effectively communicate this to his third-party custodian. It was also stated in court by probation that since this violation, there has not been any further issues. Magistrate Judge Michael Berdallo ordered him to continue to report to probation as directed. His pretrial conference has been set for July 24th. In national news, more than 30 states are reporting an increase in coronavirus cases, and at least 13 states have halted their plans to reopen, including in Texas and California. Chris Martinez reports from Los Angeles.
In Austin, Texas, people waited on long lines to get tested for the coronavirus.
The labs are just overwhelmed.
Texas reported nearly 6,000 new cases in one day. To slow the surge, restaurants cannot exceed 50% capacity, and bars have been closed since Friday.
COVID-19 has taken a very swift and very dangerous turn in Texas over just the past few weeks.
Cases in Florida are also surging so much that some beaches are closing over the 4th of July weekend.
It's really as if we had never bothered to do the quarantine.
In California, bars in 7 counties, including here in Los Angeles, have been ordered closed. In 8 other counties, it's still only a recommendation, not a requirement.
I think if you're going to shut the bars down, it should be at 10 o'clock.
Tommy Macias died from COVID after attending a backyard barbecue in Southern California 2 weeks ago, where he later learned someone had the virus.
I hate to think that he left worrying about all of us left behind.
Secretary of Health and Human Services Alex Azar tells CBS News traditional tools such as contact tracing are not enough to control the spread.
We've got to use tools we use in other types of public health challenges. Actually get engaged in the community, find those cases, but then test everybody in the community to find the cases, isolate those individuals.
He urges Americans to wear masks when they can't socially distance. Chris Martinez, CBS News, Los Angeles.
The U.S. now has more than 2.5 million confirmed cases of the virus, about a quarter of the 10 million cases worldwide. In your Banking 671 report, several local businesses and government agencies have joined forces to launch Going Online Together. It's a collaboration aimed at transforming consumer behavior by promoting the use of online and digital solutions during the global pandemic. Now more than ever, online banking and payment platforms have become instrumental in continuing services during this time and are being highlighted in business and government plans to protect our communities and workers on the front line. Going Online Together brings together several familiar brands into one voice, promoting alternative solutions to the traditional in-branch, in-store transactions. This initiative extends far beyond convenience, but focuses on the health, well-being, and safety of our Manumco, our sick, our families, and each other. That is your Banking 671 report, brought to you by the Bank of Guam and Coast 360.
Thank you very much, Sabrina. Good morning. 9:14. Let's keep it on the phones, man. It's like the Senator show. We'll go where we have our weekly update with Speaker Tina Muniya Barnes. Good morning, Speaker.
Good morning.
Good morning. Half a day in Mananasi to it.
Mananasi, so I guess we'll just get right to it. I know that there were some federal things that I saw that you were working on. We'll start, I guess, with you. Do you want to start with the resolution in support of?
Okay, I can start with the resolution, but something that was even more, I guess, intriguing for me was the automation part for government of Guam that I'm looking at. So I'll go ahead and start with Paul Strauss. Yesterday, I introduced a resolution to support DC's quest for statehood, and earlier this term, I wanted to take the time to thank Paul Strauss, Senator Paul Strauss, who's a shadow senator from DC, who worked closely with me to help me give a better understanding of the likelihood of H.R. 1365 passing the Senate. And you see, just like Guam, their representative does not get a vote in Congress. However, D.C. has democratically elected a shadow senator, which is a voted-in representative to represent their interests in the Senate, and that's also something that I could be looking at for future legislation. I want to share with you that even before when dengue was first apparent, I had been working with some technology folks to get and better incorporate automation into our government of Guam. And I want to say this, Chris and Sabrina, that GPA is a success story because they have saved almost $100,000 in overtime over there based on the data that has been presented. And I did meet with the tech folks. And at that time, the chief of staff, Tony Babalta, and we had identified a few choke points within our government. And I'll give you examples like DRT, Department of Administration, GSA. And last week, I took the time and I was wanting to share with you that I took that plan off the shelf and had my staff revisit it and work with other staffers in the legislature. And I want to tell you that I'm fine-tuning a proposal before and to present it to my colleagues so that we can introduce the bill. I do things a little bit differently. I take a draft bill, get input from my colleagues, and see where the reception is, and introduce it if I can get the affirmative votes. And when we look at the picture of rev and tax dealing with COVID and the need to improve our customer saving services for our government, before we can do that, I personally believe that we need to improve the back end processes. So I know that we have over, I want to say still over $100 million in uncollected taxes. And for this program, my goal is to use technology, updated technology, to improve the repetitive tasks that currently require a person to enter data. And that would leave them time to focus on other processes within the government agency. And like I said, my goal was to improve the customer service, but also for me is to serve as a long-term strategy to right-size government. And to add to that, I think that when we have compiled data and we have the information, it makes it for us to better give the compiled data when we apply for grants that are out there, whether it be federal grants, other government grants that we can look at. Data is key to giving the information to get the resources. So again, stepping outside the box and looking for opportunities to help our government compile a lot of data, provide for the better customer service, and to get more resources. And so that's another idea that I've been working with. I also want to share with...
Oh, sorry, Speaker.
Yes.
Could you just speak briefly? Are you still offering the kiosk at your office?
Yes, I was just going to talk about that.
Okay, good. Right.
Yes, I was just going to talk about that, Chris. We still are working with the COVID assistance recovery effort. I want to share with you that we increased. I told you last week we have 2 kiosks. We have a couple of representatives. We literally get anywhere between 8 and 16 constituents daily. We also have constituents coming back on a weekly basis to input their information based on the prerequisites that Department of Labor needs. We have been working closely with Department of Labor every time a constituent has a problem to work closely with Labor to assist the constituents in their needs so that they can, because once you make a mistake, you literally can't go back, and it takes a lot to try and you can't even literally reset without having clearance from Department of Labor. And I just want to
it sounds pretty difficult, Speaker. I mean, even some of your colleagues can't seem to figure it out.
Well,
or at least one of them.
Well, Chris, I need you to know that this is an invisible war that none of us ever asked for. And now that we have resources coming in from the federal government, we need to make sure that everybody who qualifies for the services have an opportunity to do it, because they are working class families are literally in a bind. I just got some small business entrepreneurs call me and saying, we are suffering. What can you do to exempt BBTs? What can we do to help our employees? What can we do because they feel bad that when they let their employees go, that they don't have anything else to turn to, and they need to put food on their table. And I need you to know, Chris and Bree, that we have stepped up to the plate to help these guys work with unemployment. And I just want you to know that, as I stated since the beginning of this pandemic, if we work together, we can overcome this. We need to do it together. We pit one against the other, and everybody who literally can qualify for a program should have that opportunity to apply. And let me tell you, I cannot speak for anybody but myself as a family, as a grandmother, as a mother who literally is trying to make ends meet too. Anybody out there who needs the assistance, some of them don't even want to call the agencies because they may be embarrassed. I've opened my office. I said, call my office, 477-2520. If you need help in PUA, if you need help in just facilitating to ask the questions that you don't want to ask because you're for fear that you may not know what you're doing because the process may be difficult for them. A lot of them are not like me, computer little bit, and they don't have computers at home. Mm-hmm. So our office is open. I continue to literally see what we can do to help our people.
Well, Speaker,
that's what it's all about.
Speaker, we appreciate that you've opened your office to help people because it's obvious that there's still a lot of people out there that are struggling. But I wanted to follow
the working class families,
right?
Especially the working class families who either have reduced finances, trying to make ends meet. I had someone who had 3 jobs and have reduced hours on all of them. So it's like, where do we go? Have a seat. Let's see what we can do to work with you. Some of them have to go back to some of the employers just to get the certification. You don't have this. We will take you. Just make a call. We help them make those calls. We help them see if there's any documents that can be transmitted to us via electronic text. We go ahead and work it for them. Mm-hmm. But Sabrina, we need to help these people. Right. We need to help our community because together we can overcome this.
Right. But
there are so many things that change on a daily basis.
Okay.
As I go through the weekly meetings with the federal government to try and see what they're doing in the nation, to see what can be implemented here or emulated here, this is why we continue to open our office. And I must say that opening our office to help these constituents is the best thing that we can do. Mm-hmm. Just stepping up to the plate to help get assistance, especially for our working class families who literally have been setback because things are different. Mm-hmm. And we are not alone in this. This is
Speaker,
worldwide.
you mentioned, this is an invisible war. We don't know what's going to happen months from now. We don't know if there's going to be a surge in September. What are we doing now, and you and the discussions you're having to plan ahead, to plan? I mean, we don't know what we're planning for, like I said, because we don't know what we're up against going forward. But, you guys are in budget oversight hearings. We don't even have a revised revenue projection. The federal funds, I think they run out in December. We don't know what's going to happen next year. Yes. What are we doing now to prepare?
Sabrina? And now we have taken the opportunity to continue to meet with the administration. Just yesterday, I had the opportunity to talk to the chair on the economic recovery team, former Governor Gutierrez, who was talking about, as we take this pause from our tourism industry, we need to be able to market our destination, our island, and we need to be able to clean our island, and we need to be able to come together and talk about how we can bring our travelers in and how we can bring our tourist industry back, but to make sure that we promote and advocate that it is clean, it is safe, it is that they can come here and visit without having fear that when they got back home they have to quarantine. So I'm still advocating for the testing bill that Senator Pito Terlahi and Senator Clinton have co-sponsored, and I am a part of that co-sponsorship. I'm working with this governor to see how we can help with the homelessness. I understand, and I was just told by my staff that the lieutenant governor was continuing to work on how we can work with our homeless community and giving them wraparound services. Mm-hmm. And we have also reached out, Sabrina, even to our brothers and sisters in the CNMI to see what they're doing and what plans they have. And a lot of that is similar. I'm going to take with you that as I continue to advocate for the testing, COVID testing bill, you and I know that some of our business stakeholders here in Guam in the tourism industry are adamantly opposed to it. So I've been working with the Council Generals. I spoke to Saipan yesterday. The only one we have not spoken to is the representatives from the Philippines, and we're still trying to get contact. My office said they've reached out, and they're just waiting for a response, because I want to see how reciprocity can work with our island, so that if they have testing back there and they come here, they're safe. And if they are here after their vacation and they go back, their country will know that they're safe to go back. So testing to and from and accepting reciprocity is another major component that we should be able to look at. As we look at right-sizing our government and saving and looking at modern technology, that's something that we continue to work with. Mm-hmm. And then there's all the other issues, from continuing to address the concerns of my uncle, who said that, you know what, as those that are alive today have received their compensation, what about us who didn't or applied with other members, like they've applied with back then when Speaker Cruz was the commission member with Speaker Tony and Pinto, that they had said they had signed documents and thought that they didn't need to sign in 2016 or 17. Mm-hmm. And so they've lost out.
You Speaker,
pleading with us.
Right, Speaker. You mentioned how you've been helping and opening your office to the unemployed and people who need to apply for PUA assistance. Have you had any discussions? Because we still see messages from people who have not received payments as part of the governor's programa, ni Sulapi Zuda ni Tau program, and they're still waiting because there were boxes and applications that were still sitting at the Department of Administration. And Mr. Burns said that there's documents that are missing, but people are still waiting for their payments. Have you heard anything on that?
And Sabrina, as you asked me that question, mm-hmm. Every day we continue to follow up. We continue to work with the agency that between DOA, Rev and Tax, and whoever else, labor that we need to work with. We have called. We have gotten consent from our constituents to see how we can facilitate for them, and a lot of them are just saying, "Please help us." And that's why Bree and Chris, this is why this office continues to be open. I have to take my staff and just I know they're overwhelmed, and I know it's not easy because we're inundated too. But as everybody continues to try and do their part, I know that together we can overcome this. And as fast as we are trying to get all the answers, we take it one constituent at a time. And let me tell you, it makes me feel good personally when they stand up and complete their process and they say, "Thank you for caring." Nobody can take that away. Thank you for caring, and thank you for just making a difference. But that's just not me. That's my staff. Mm-hmm. Our staff and the communication that we get with labor, the calls that we do to work closely with GCC, their outlet there, the mayor's office, the different sections that are being opened to help bring in constituents. I mean, I understand we're up to over 30,000 constituents applying, and mm-hmm. weekly they have to apply. They have to update their documents weekly, right? And it is not easy. And I know the frustration is there. I know one constituent said, "What? Labor's saying this, someone else is saying this. Where is it?" So what we do is we literally try and find out what their concerns are. We sit down with them. We make the necessary calls. We have them go through the application step by step. And if there is an obstacle or a glitch, we say, "Don't move." We make the necessary calls to find out what the answers are. Okay. And I have to share with you that just yesterday there was a concern because there was a constituent who said that labor was insistent that the individual had already had an account that was open. But yet, when we realized it, the application came from Texas. So for whatever reason, we continue to follow through, and I want to say thank you to the Department of Labor and Mr. De Sola for literally saying we will address this immediately. And that wasn't the first constituent that came by. There was another one that we were working on that had some issues that are literally, we never thought it would come our way. So those things need to be addressed, and we are taking it one constituent at a time. And like I said, Bree and Chris, our office number is 477-2520. We will continue to receive our constituents based on the appointments and the calls. We have answered. We try our very best to answer all the calls that are coming in, and I apologize again. I even shared my number. They can text me, they can WhatsApp us, they can email us if they can, and we will make sure that we try and call each constituent that tries to contact our office.
Well, thank you, Speaker, for taking the time, and not just for coming on the show, but also taking the time to help people that really need assistance. All right.
Jesus Masi. We have to do this together, Bree, and we can't keep pitting one against another. We need to be able to help our community get the resources that they need from what the federal government has provided for us, at least through the month of December, and try find new opportunities to bring new industry to Guam in the COVID as we bounce back and recover.
Right. Well, thanks again. And just so you know, it's not about KUM pitting people against one another. It's really just about being that voice for people that are out there waiting in line for food, people who are waiting for their stimulus checks and their programa ni Slapi Adzudan Benelas Dagu payments. And so that's where we're coming from. So we thank you for doing your part too.
And thank you guys for continuing to be the voice to tell our community where to go, how to do it, and get the resources from the different government agencies. And like I said, thank you so much for you guys doing your part also.
Okay.
And we will continue to work on this until we take care of all our constituents on Guam.
All right, take care.
Thank you, Speaker. Wash your hands.
God bless.
Okay.
I will wash my hands.
Wear your mask. Thank you. 934, containing COVID.
Yes. So again, we're going to take a quick break, but please stay on the line, and we hope to hear from you too. We want to hear your comments. The number is 637-0094. We'll be back after this.
Thank you. It's containing COVID, the KUAM News Takeover at Guam's favorite. Good morning.
Banners. Keeping you informed. KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
KUAM News COVID-19 Takeover on I-94 FM is presented locally by Ambrose Inc.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
Healthy. Be informed with ITD.
Keeping you informed. KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
KUAM News COVID-19 Takeover on I-94 FM is presented locally by Ambrose Inc.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
informed with ITD.
Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
KUAM News COVID-19 Takeover on I-94 FM is presented locally by Ambrose Inc.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
Be healthy. Be informed with ITD.
Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
KUAM News COVID-19 Takeover on I-94 FM is presented locally by Ambrose Inc.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
Be healthy. Be informed with ITD.
It's not always easy trying something new. Sometimes you have to help your loved ones along. Nana is so used to her weekly trips to the bank that going online can be a little scary for her. But her grandson knows that banking online is safer and easier. So he's teaching her how to get started using Bank of Guam's online banking videos. Teaching is one way to show our loved ones we care. Keep your family safe at home and show them how to bank online. Find easy-to-use online banking tutorials at bankofguam.com or on our Instagram and Facebook pages. Bank of Guam, member FDIC.
Be healthy. Be informed with ITD.
Ah, man.
Good morning.
Good morning. 9:39. Let's keep it on the phones here. You were just talking about the programa ng Judan sa Lapi.
Yes.
Banalas Dogos and Shrimp Patty.
Mm-hmm.
And the Hogansuni program. And so I wanted to get Tess from Public Health on to just kind of give us a bunch of updates. Good morning, Tess. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Tess. Are you there?
Tess?
Hi, Chris.
Oh.
Yes. Hi.
Good morning. Are we on speaker? Can you pick up the phone, Tess? Is that okay? So you can come in loud and clear for our listeners.
Yeah.
Okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
So can you give us an update on the processing of the Programa ni Slapi Zudini Tautau program? Because, I think last time we talked with Mr. Byrne, he did mention that there were all these new applications that were sitting in boxes that they had to vet. And a lot of them were missing the required documents. And today, actually, I think it's June 30th, right, is the official deadline to turn in those required documents. But since then, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, can you give us an update on whether or not any of those applications have been vetted?
Oh, okay. With regards to those missing documents, we receive a lot. We call those clients that have missing documents, and we inform them that to submit their those documents as soon as possible. Unfortunately, I cannot speak in behalf of Department of Administration. We transmitted everything to Department of Administration, and up to now, this is the last day to submit all those missing documents. So for those clients who have, they know what they submitted, and if they have not submitted those, today is the deadline to submit those so that DOA can process their application. So with regards to the applications, everything was submitted to Department of Administration for their review and processing.
So what is your involvement then with this program after you hand off everything over to DOA?
Nothing. It's at the hands of DOA now.
Okay. And so,
So our participation is actually to receive those documents and make sure that those are transmitted properly to Department of Administration, and we continue to receive the missing documents that these clients did not, submit, and we transmit those.
So you received the missing documents?
Yes, we do.
And
we
so,
continuously receive them.
And so how many, missing documents or people have you received missing documents from?
Oh, I don't have that, but I could state that the total applicants that we sent, the total applications that we sent to DOA is roughly 9,000 applications.
These are new applications, right? To the program?
Yes, to the program, yeah.
And
There
how
are
many?
9,000 applications. But there are some who are under our current SNAP program or under our Medicaid or CCDF or cash assistance program that also submitted an application. There's roughly 800 some of them. So I would say there are roughly less than 9,000 applications that legit that's not under our program that we submitted to DOA.
And Tess, how many of those applications had issues like missing documents?
We did not count that. Yeah, but what we did is we called those probably half of them. Yeah, because there's a lot that we called that has either missing ID, missing Social Security, or missing check stub.
So we're looking at like 4,500.
Yeah, roughly. Yeah, missing. But they submitted those documents. A lot of them submitted.
How many more applications do we need the documents for? Do you have any estimate on that? Just so we can, if you guys filled out an application and you haven't heard anything about it, maybe you need to make some phone calls because this could be you. So how many apps do we have left that need the required paperwork?
We did not check all of those. That DOA can let you because they have everything.
Did you by any chance have any phone calls or received anything from people that didn't meet the initial deadline to file?
No.
Okay.
What kind of update can you give us on SNAP benefits, new applicants? You just usually give us the numbers.
Oh, yeah. Actually, since March, we have processed more than 3,000 applications for SNAP. Not only SNAP, even Medicaid. We process around 2,000 applications for Medicaid and all other programs. So all in all, staff was able to process 6,800, roughly 6,800 applications on all those different programs, but mostly SNAP.
And this is just for the regular program. This isn't for program and Slapi.
That's not for program and Salapi. Yes, that's only for regular, and those are new and reopened applications. Renewals are not included there.
Is that considered a significant increase in your opinion?
Oh, yes. It's a significant increase. If you're going to compare it in March, it's a significant increase. For April, May, and June, especially for SNAP, it tripled. Yeah. The total number of new applications and reopened.
And that's not with any new, how they increase the poverty level.
The poverty level stays the same.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just that there's a lot of, people who were really laid off and reduced hours, so that's why they did qualify.
Okay.
Are you anticipating people on the SNAP program being impacted when they receive the unemployment assistance?
Maybe.
Are we looking at the people who are going to just lose eligibility altogether for the program? And if so, do you have any numbers on that, or have we already seen people get kicked out of it?
Not yet at this time.
What are you anticipating?
Well, we anticipate some of them will be, depending on how much they get, depending on how much increase they have, because our income guideline for SNAP is 165. So depending on that, if their income went up by 130% of we announced it of the federal poverty level, then we need to assess. Definitely their benefits will decrease, or some of them may totally not receive the benefit. Some of them, their benefits will decrease. Yeah.
You've been involved with the SNAP program for, well, you're the administrator, right, of the
I'm
public
not.
welfare benefits?
I am the chief for Division of Public Welfare, so all the programs under the Division of Public Welfare. I'm not the direct administrator of the SNAP program.
But you've been with public health for a while in this particular program, correct?
Yes.
And having seen this increase in people who are applying for public assistance, what is your assessment of how the community is doing and how the community is hurting during this time?
Oh, everybody knows, I guess, because of this pandemic. So that's why we've been working. I'm encouraging the staff to work and process as much as they can to assist the people. And also, the thing is, even before, the reason why there's a lot of people under SNAP is the job is not there. Let's face it. So for some type of people with regards to their education, so that's why we have what we call jobs program or employment and training program, is to assist these people who are under SNAP or under any other welfare program to help them to be self-reliant, to assist them for their future, to assist their children. So as much as possible, we try to help everybody in order for them to have food, to have their medical, to have all the necessities that they need.
How concerned are you and maybe, because when we hear about these public assistance, the stimulus programs, the federal funding is anticipated to end in December. I mean, are you guys anticipating a flood of new applicants after that?
I cannot assess that. Depends on the situation.
Okay.
Are you planning on retiring or resigning anytime soon, Tess?
It's in the planning stage.
How many years have you been in service at Public Health?
Almost 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you've been with Linda, huh, for a while too?
Yeah, I started at Guam Memorial Hospital. Yeah, if I'm going to include Guam Memorial Hospital, that's more than 30 years.
Wow. And so you're planning your retirement. What's the timeline with this? And then I guess next question is, do we have somebody who can fill your shoes? What size are you?
I think there will be someone who can, as long as she's creative, resourceful, and focused on her work. Yes, because when I started this job, I don't know anything. I can say I'm resourceful, and I look at everything and very tenacious.
So are we talking about like in a week?
Yeah, or are you going to give 2 weeks? Or because Linda only gave 8 days notice.
No, I want to make sure there's someone who can handle this, and I want a good transition.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Is there anything else you wanted to add about the program and people that may want to apply?
Oh, all I can say is if you need help, we're here to assist you. Just try to apply, and let's see how we can help you for everybody.
Okay. Is there any other we were talking about how you guys were reaching out to people that had missing documents.
Yes.
Is there still more people on this list of people you need to call, or have you guys?
No, we called all of them.
Okay.
Everybody, those 9,000, we call all of them. But of course, there's some who's not answering their line. So if they didn't able to hear from us, I would appeal to them. You know what you submitted. If you don't have a copy of your ID, your copy of all the household social security card, if you're working your check stub, submit it. The deadline is today if you want to receive cash assistance.
Thank you so much, Tess.
Thanks, Tess.
Okay.
You're still going to be around next week, right? Because we want to get another update with you.
Of course.
Okay.
I'm still here, and I will stay.
We don't want to call and they're going to be like, Tess who? What? No, do you mean that lady who retired with Linda?
Thank you, Tess.
Thank you, Tess.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Wash your hands.
Okay.
Wear your mask.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Of course.
Okay, bye.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
All right.
Again, today is the deadline. If you did apply for the Programa Ni Slapi, Itzuda Ni Tau Tau, Banelas
Dogo Programa Itzuda Tau Tau Jalopy.
Today is the deadline to submit the required documents. You can't file for the program anymore, but if you did file and you had some missing paperwork, Public Health has done their due diligence. They have contacted everybody that applied and that were missing documents. Today, again, is the deadline. I know that, Chris, you said that the Department of Administration Director
has been out sick. He's been out sick since last week, but we got a commitment for a call tomorrow, so definitely we're going to make the ask, like the people say.
Right, he's going to give an update on where we are, because we know that there are still a bunch of people out there who have been waiting for far too long for any sort of assistance.
I mean, this is the program that's supposed to go to assist the people who most need it. And so I kind of have a problem that we got a bunch of applications sitting around in a box somewhere. Yeah. People need this money. They need it. They need it last month, not yesterday.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll go to talk to Ed Byrne. I also want to maybe try and get Daphne from Rev Tax on to do an update, because we're seeing a lot of comments of people asking about stimulus checks, and I can't recall the call when she called about the status of new stimulus economic impact payments. I remember she said something like they have until December to pay it out, and there was a few big rushes of payments, but now what we're seeing is well, I don't know. I haven't seen an announcement of new checks to come out. So
yeah, and I think what would be really a good idea is just for these agencies just to be a little more proactive in providing those sort of daily updates on where we are. Well, I mean, Department of Labor, Dave Della Sola, he's been very accessible, and he even took questions from our viewers and our people who are watching us streaming on where, the questions that they have. And so, and Daphne's been very accessible too. Yeah. So just maybe if they could be a little bit more proactive in just giving us daily updates, we could pass along like how much was paid today, how much, how many
weekly
checks.
even.
Yeah. Because we know a lot of people have those sorts of questions, and obviously we don't work at DRT or DOA.
Right. And I'm sorry, I really apologize, because I've been seeing the comments about the stimulus, but I think that we were all maybe put at ease temporarily when, the first few big batches went out. I'm not going to say I thought that they covered everybody, but I guess I thought they did. But there's just a lot of people. I'm seeing a lot of comments from people. And we have a guy on the line, Joe. We'll go ahead and bring him on. And Joe, thanks for joining us. So you're saying that you, too, haven't received your stimulus?
Yeah, that's correct. The problem with my stimulus, Lou, is about my son. Okay, what happened is I put his birth certificate, his regular birth certificate, was example Cruz, right? So what I did, I had his last name changed. The Cruz went into the middle, right, middle name, and the last name is Kanata, okay? So what's happening right now, they want me to send off, show them the Social Security, and it's still saying Cruz. And I cannot go to the Social Security because it takes 2 weeks. Number one, it's closed. Number two, I'm in a mess because they took my driver's license, they took everything, and it takes 2 weeks for them to process and finish, and they're going to mail back my belongings. So I'm stuck with stimulus right now because the Social Security, okay, has 2 different names, and then trying to explain to them that 2 different names is the same child. It's just that when they did my own papers, okay, I sent it to you guys already, the birth certificate, that they changed the last name. Now you're telling me right now you cannot located it. So what I did, I went to Social Security to have it changed, but it was shut down. So I just gave my driver's license, I filled in the application, and I turned it in. And I'm stuck for another 2 weeks. Can those people just let, I'm not lying to them. It's just that the Social Security is the same person, the little child, Gatso. That's really messed up. And they want me to send the birth certificate. How can I send the birth certificate and the Social Security that it takes 2 weeks for them to mail it back to me? And I told him, call up the Social Security office, they'll do the same thing. So I'm stuck.
Is this are we talking about the local program?
Are you talking about the $1,200?
The stimulus.
The economic impact payment.
Yeah.
$1,200.
That's still everybody's having it left to right.
Right. Yeah. And then that would be
my goodness.
That's
another.
another.
I'm a U.S. citizen. That is the same little child. The only difference is I add a last name. My last name is Cruz. So what's the problem? It's like I'm not lying. I'm not posting application or something. That's all I want to call up, man. I mean, can you just check on that, whoever's revenue tax company, and just ask him that question. What is the problem? It's the same. It's the same person. It's a little child. The only difference they add my last name in. It's ridiculous, and I cannot do nothing because Social Security is closed down, and I stick the envelope in between the door. Okay, so they told me over the phone it takes 2 weeks to do. I didn't even have a driver's license with me right now because I have to put in the envelope. It's really messed up, guys.
All right, sir. Well, we'll put it out there, and if we get Daphne this week, we'll be sure to ask her.
Okay, thank you, Jello.
Okay,
all right,
sir.
take care, Joe.
Wash your hands.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, and that's what I'm hearing. I'm getting a lot of messages, and they're real individual, like people are saying
really unique circumstances, right?
And so it's hard to kind of go through and ask. I mean, obviously they're not going to cut the check until all the documents are in order, right? But again, it is frustrating, yeah.
And not only that, I think what Dave Delasolis told us, and I believe even Daphne, that the federal government is not messing around. They've got to have all the documents to back up the payments that they are making, and if they find anything, if there's some sort of an audit, then the government of Guam will be held accountable. And I'm not making any excuses for the local government, but
it
definitely,
is what it is.
yeah, but definitely we'll try to get Daphne, and maybe even if you just kind of message us on Facebook your particular circumstance, we can forward it over to Daphne, and also put your phone number on there, Joe.
Okay, we got just a real quick break, and we're going to come back and end the show on a good note next on Containing COVID. Good morning.
Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
KUAM News COVID-19 Takeover on I-94 FM is presented locally by Ambrose Inc.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
Be healthy. Be informed with ITD.
Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union.
And we're back. Hey, let's end this show on a good note. I want to bring on Halen Carbonell. Now, Halen's got a really cool story. He's going over to the University of Notre Dame and, dealing with everything that's going on with the COVID. We just want to recognize his good work because his parents are so proud. They messaged, pretty much everybody here at KUAM and told us about young Halen making the dean's list at the University of Notre Dame. And so we got Halen on the line. And I guess just first of all, Halen, if we could, let's kind of unpack that feeling you got when you got that letter that said you were on the University of Notre Dame's dean's list. Okay, let me try it again. Halen, line 1, I think that's you. Are you there? That's it. Halen, again, so just tell us the feeling when you saw that letter that said you were on the dean's list for ND.
Oh, well, I was really shocked because, going to a school at Notre Dame is definitely a difficult school. Like, many of my friends, the people I met at my school, they come from top high schools around the U.S., so when I got the news that I got on the dean list, I was very surprised.
Describe that surprise. And what was the reaction from your family? I'm sure they were very proud of you.
Yeah, it was kind of funny because when I got the news, I checked on my phone, my email, and we're eating at a local restaurant here in Guam. And so when I told my mom and dad the news, they went in tears. So I was like, wow, it's just definitely like a great moment in my life to make them proud.
Is that what your motivation is? Going to school like Notre Dame, making your mom and dad proud?
Yeah, definitely, because growing up, I didn't come from the most easy background because both my parents, they don't have the most their jobs aren't the best out there. So knowing that they sacrificed so much to work hard to pay for my tuition and growing up, supporting my golf career and all that, I knew that I had to pay them back. So I thought the best thing I can do is just work hard in my academics and anything I can do for them.
Going to school in Notre Dame, right? So it's so far away from home. How do you stay motivated with your studies?
Well, what really helps is being surrounded by people who really help me. Because when I first came to Notre Dame, I've made so many friends who are able to support me. And so we all work together to make sure that each one of us is working to our very best to ensure that we get the best grades out there and perform to our very best.
What would your message be to other, students out there who are listening to this, who, maybe think that, oh God, I'll never go to ND, or I'll never make it to a big school? You're that inspiration. You're that example. So what's your message to them?
Well, definitely shoot for the stars, because I know when I was applying for colleges when I was back in high school, I didn't expect at all to get into a school like Notre Dame. After going high school right here in Guam, all my parents and my family just expected me to go UOG right after high school, but I was I'm telling myself I definitely deserve to go to a school at Notre Dame. If you work your utmost best, you can definitely get to a school like Notre Dame or any prestigious institution out there.
Well, thank you, Halen, for that, and we just wanted to bring you on to recognize the good work you're doing, and you're our COVID hero for the day, so thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
God bless you, and wash your hands, okay?
You too. Right.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Halen Carbonell, who again is on the dean's list at University of Notre Dame. It was cool talking.
That's awesome.
And he was telling me his parents. How did he put it? He said they don't have the best jobs. So what I got from that was that they worked really hard to give him those opportunities, and then he kind of picked up the ball and ran with it. So good on him. And we always end our show on a good note. So whether it's an individual, organization or business, or even a student, somebody who's doing something good to represent the island or to make it just a better place to be, we'll get you on here and end the show on a good note. Good job today, Sabrina.
Good job, Christopher.
Sorry. Okay.
Good job, Jacob.
Good job, Jacob. Hey, most especially to our viewers on our KUAM News Facebook Live, our listeners here on the radio, our viewers on KUAM TV 11, thanks so much for joining us. It's 10:06 for KUAM FM. And I got you, Guam. My name is Chris.
I'm Sabrina.
And this has been another multimedia broadcast extravaganza called Containing COVID. Hasta Gupa. Adios!
Bye.